Welcome to another edition of Brews and Crews. I am your host, Chris Jacobson, and I am here with not only a really good friend, but also my co-best man in my wedding. So he's that good of a friend. Brett Hurley, welcome to the cast.
Thank you for having me.
And this is not a casting couch. This is a podcast, so don't get it confused.
Yeah. Well, thank you for inviting me on.
Yeah, you're welcome. I mean, it's been a long time coming. But we're drinking a beer today, and we picked this one out together. All four of these out together.
We picked out a sampling pack.
A sampling pack. And your wife had the fantastic idea of let's do a sampling flight with these.
Yes, absolutely.
So we picked out four of them. And today we're drinking from Toppling Goliath, which is from Decorah, Iowa. So it's pretty local to us here in Winona, Minnesota. But if you haven't heard of them, you've heard of Pseudo Sue most likely.
Yes, I have.
Because Pseudo Sue is on tap just about everywhere. But we also have some other fun ones that we're going to be drinking. We got one of them that's called This Meeting in Email, a double IPA. We also have a holiday one called Holodots, Cranberry Apple Cinnamon Lager. So that one I'm kind of interested to taste. I don't know if I'll be able to handle much. Then we have the Pseudo Sue, which is like their flagship beer.
Yeah, I think I've had that before. Maybe
Yeah,
at your bachelor party we had one.
Oh, yeah, we did
Yeah.
at, what's the place called?
Showboat Saloon. Shout out Showboat Saloon.
Yeah, but also
Wisconsin
Grandma's
Dells.
Garage.
Yes, we did.
And I also got your brother messed up at your bachelor party on some Toppling Goliath.
I think he did have some
He
Toppling
had
Goliath.
King Sue.
King Sue.
Because he was passed out in the bush. And then our last one we have is the Berry Patch Fandango, and that's a kettle sour beer. This is the one that you were most high up when we were at the store. So that'll be interesting to try those. So we're going to try this sampler pack, and we are going to pour these right now. So let's have at her. I'll pour email one.
Which number is this one going to go in?
Number one.
Okay.
So I'll put this one in one. You put that in one. It's a...
And this is the email. This meeting. Double Indian Pale Ale.
Which is what we're having. We're having a meeting right now.
This is a meeting.
A meeting of the mind, a meeting of the beers, a meeting of fun. Then, I am going to put the Holodots in number two. Oh, man, that looks like a thick one. You know who brought out a thick one the other time was Josh. He brought out a really thick beer.
And this is I think you might have already said it, but a cranberry apple cinnamon lager. I think this is one of their holiday
Yeah, I've never seen it before.
that they had out there.
And then in number, I want to say this is 3 for me. No, this one's 3 right here. Yeah. I'll put in the Pseudo Sue, their flagship beer. This is my favorite. They have it at like all of our restaurants here in town and at the golf course. And the last one I'm going to pour is that Berry Patch Fandango.
That's the one that really caught my eye when we were
I
at
know,
the store earlier today.
It's because it's such a pretty little package. It looks like we're going to have some fruity gummies or whatever.
I do like
Oh my gosh.
It's very dark.
You can smell it.
Yeah, I wasn't quite expecting that dark out of that when we...
Well, some of these ones are pretty thick when they make them, but you can definitely tell the difference between the Holodots and that cranberry one, which is good because the Pseudo Sue...
that smell is delightful.
I know. I'm not usually one for a fruity beer, so I'm going to see how much I can handle of this. But this is going to be fun. So which one should we try? Start with. Let's start with the one that you suggested.
So we're going to start with number 4, which is the Berry Patch Fandango.
Dude.
Cheers.
Cheers. Smell it one more time. Definitely tastes...
That was very good.
Yeah, you could get real messed up on real quick. So, yeah, that one tastes like, I guess, fruity candy is what I taste. It's
Yeah.
almost like Skittles.
So this one it's a kettle sour beer.
Yeah.
With blueberries, mulberries, raspberries, and raspberry flavoring.
Well, it's definitely it tastes like candy going down.
It's very good.
So anyways, welcome to the cast. You and me have a long history because, we met back in 3rd grade. Or I was in 3rd and you were in 4th. So we have a long, long history. going on with us.
Yes, I'm trying to remember what year that would have been. I had to reach out to your dad and ask him.
96.
I think it was 1996.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I had my
'Cause I asked him when I was writing the speech for your wedding.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you please bring us through some of that speech that you had that was so delightful?
Well, there were Pop-Tarts that were involved.
Many Pop-Tarts
That was
were
one
involved.
of the things, your mom always made Pop-Tarts for us when we were growing up. So I made sure to let Stephanie know that it was her responsibility now to handle the Pop-Tart duty. And
Yeah, and actually Stephanie has done a fantastic
Yes,
job of keeping
absolutely.
brown sugar cinnamon Pop-Tarts in the house.
fully stocked.
So yeah, this is fun because this is Brews and Crews. Again, it doesn't have to be about cars, but you and me have a history with cars. So much so that we used to take your parents' Buick out for a joy ride before we even had our permit. However, illegal. Don't do it at home. But also, your brother had a T-bus that we had a lot of fun with. Now, we couldn't drive, but we could ride in the T-bus legally.
Yes, the T-bus was kind of a very wonderful experience.
So we used to get stopped all the time. But remember, they would never charge. There was nothing they could charge us with. They were just making sure that we weren't
There was
doing
a
anything.
licensed driver driving it.
Yes.
Yep.
So with the T-bus, now, he didn't have a CDL license, right?
No, it was classified as a camper. An
Oh,
RV.
really?
Yep.
Was it classified that after he bought it from the police auction?
It wasn't a police auction. I think it
Oh.
was an auction from the city.
Oh, the city.
Because they were
okay.
old. They're old transit bus from,
Yep.
from the city public lines, and he had bought. I think he paid $400 for it at the time.
What year
and-
was that? Was that 2002?
Probably pretty close.
Yeah, because
Because I wasn't old enough to drive. I was probably 15.
yeah, so you'd have been a freshman in high school. I would have been an 8th grader, and Louis was with us a time or two.
Yep.
But so when he bought it, all he had to do was just have a regular license.
Yep. It was
Yeah.
classified as a RV motorhome, whatever that is, and
And he
long as
murdered
you
it
had-
out.
yeah, it was it was painted all black, black rims, black spray paint on the whole entire bus.
And also, what number was that he decided to use for the number on it?
I couldn't remember that.
69.
Was it?
Yeah, oh yeah, it was bus number 69.
That's funny.
So
I
yeah,
don't
it
remember
was
that.
stopped by the cops quite often.
Yeah, they
However,
were always pretty curious about it.
So what did he grinded all the seats out? Is that right?
Yeah, he took an angle grinder and got all the seats out that were designed for passengers.
Yeah, and threw in some couches.
And then, I think there was
yeah.
like a chair and maybe 2 couches in there, and there was some shag carpeting.
God,
And then I think
obviously.
he put a bunch of neon lights throughout it too.
Really, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I remember
I
we
can't
got.
say for certain, but
Well, I remember we got stopped. I think I was in 8th grade, and Louis was with us, and we got pulled over by the high school.
Yep.
And Louis and I were just sitting in the back on the couch, and the police officers walking with their flashlights, just checking it out and seeing what was going on.
yeah, they couldn't believe that it was classified as an RV, but they thought it was pretty neat with all the couches and
How
stuff
would they
in
not
there.
know? Wouldn't they know that? I feel like they would know.
I think the plate probably came back as registered as an RV, but
Sure.
since it was an old bus, they probably weren't sure how things were registered through the state. So
That's so funny. 'Cause I just remember sitting in the back, and they're coming there, and here's Louis and I, and Louis was like 4'0", 100 pounds.
yeah,
But it wasn't late at night. It was like 8 o'clock at night, I think. So we weren't past curfew.
nope,
We were with a licensed driver.
yep,
However, the whole thing looked so illegal.
it did. It very much resembled something that probably shouldn't have been on the road, but
Most likely,
they
yeah.
definitely were able to figure out that it was.
So I want to shift over to the next thing, which is your first car, because I remember that one quite well.
Yeah,
Well, what was that again?
it was a 1993 Ford Escort GT.
Yes. GT.
Yeah, it was actually when I had purchased it. It had been, I don't know how many owners it had, but originally set up for track racing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I think it was 2 owners prior to me had set it up for racing it on tracks, and
Oh.
I don't know what style of racing, if it was drag racing or
It's probably up at Rock Falls.
yeah,
I'll bet.
something along those
Something
lines.
like that. I
So yeah,
remember-
but it was, I mean, you knew it was a Ford Escort GT, but it definitely didn't necessarily resemble that
No, it
when you got into the motor and into the tires and rims.
Did they put something different in it, like a different motor?
I can't remember what they had in there. It wasn't a different motor, but I think they had tuned it up.
Yeah, I suppose.
They
Yeah.
tuned it up to make it more. I don't want to say appropriate, but better for racetrack racing.
It looked like something out of Fast and the Furious.
Yes, and that was
all the rage back then too.
let's see how old it would have been 2003,
I think.
2003, I think.
You tried to teach me how to drive it one
when
time.
I first got it, so it was right at the heart of Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
And it was 5-speed manual.
Well, you had to have that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you've been a loser.
Yeah.
I remember
that was a big thing back then. When
you tried to teach me how to drive that thing one time, and I think I had just got my license, so I was 16 and you were probably 17, or I had my permit and we were doing something illegal again. But I remember I was going down the highway and we were going like click, 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 back and forth, and I was like, oh, I'm like, I don't want to ruin your car. How about you just take us back home?
Yeah.
Because you tried to teach me how to drive that. My dad tried to teach me how to drive stick the first time. I didn't know what I was doing. I had a Trans Am 99. And I thought every time you wanted to go back down into first gear, you had to go through second or, through fourth, back to third, back to second, all the way back down. I didn't realize if you just popped it into neutral. I know there was a neutral, and you could just coast in. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, well, this is really going to be annoying if I have to go all the way from sixth to fifth to fourth to third to second to first, and now I'm back. No, I didn't have to do all that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
But
that's how I was taught how to drive a manual, was to shift down through the gears.
Sure.
But there's definitely two different schools of thought. Some go right into neutral, and some want you to shift through the gears. So
who'd you sell that to?
I don't remember who it was sold to. I think it was actually an even trade. What had happened is I flooded the motor. It was a pretty bad rainstorm, and down by where Culver's is in Winona,
Sure.
down by the road, when we get a lot of heavy rain, it would pool up pretty good.
Yeah.
And I didn't think it was as deep as it was, and I drove through it and flooded the motor, and it ended up having to get towed. And I had already stuck a fair amount of money into it for various reasons, so at the time I decided it wasn't worth putting anything into it, and
Probably not.
I was actually I traded that straight up. The vehicle was not working, and somebody that I had came across had a 1986 Cadillac Seville.
Seville.
It was the Seville, and
I think I remember that one.
yeah, it was silver.
Oh, yeah,
and,
I remember
and
that
then
now.
I put fur on the roof.
You put fur on the roof?
Yeah, it was. I went down to the Cinderella shop here in Winona on Mankato. It's
Now
no
known
longer
as
here.
Port 507.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nope. Cinderella shop was down where the Napa is now.
Oh,
on
yeah.
Mankato.
Sorry. That was the costume store down there.
Yeah, it was the costume store down there.
Okay.
So anyway, I went to the Cinderella shop and I got some fake fur fabric, and because in the Seville, all the older cars, the ceiling would collapse.
Oh, I know.
And
It'd
bubble
sag.
up. So this one just was a big sag. So
Yeah.
I put the fur in. I took some high quality adhesive and sprayed it on there. But that's traded straight up for that the Escort that wasn't running to a Seville that ran.
Wow.
Yep.
And the height of you having that Seville was the height of Pimp My Ride. So,
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting time. I was a senior, I think, in high school when I got that vehicle, or maybe a junior going into my senior year. But I ran it probably for a full year, and then started noticing things going wrong with it, and I took it into the shop, and it had a warped head. And at that time, it was you're gonna have to replace either the whole motor or the head. And
That ain't worth it.
At any rate, that went down the road, and I moved on to the next vehicle. So
did you trade straight up for that too?
no, that one I don't
No,
remember where that one went to. But then I bought a Plymouth Acclaim from a gentleman here in town.
I don't think I remember that car.
That was a white car
remember
with
that.
red interior, and actually a gentleman that we knew growing up, Calvin Corey.
Oh.
He had two of them he was trying to sell, and this white one was one of them that he tried to sell, and I told him I'll give you $100 for it.
And he took it?
And he took $100.
Oh, damn.
And then I went home and I vacuumed it and cleaned it up and washed it up really good. And then when he saw after I had done a full detail on it, because I used to work at Gilmore Avenue Car Wash in Quickly when I was
That's right. You
in
did.
high school. So I enjoyed cleaning the cars and making them look nice. After he saw that, he told me he felt like he got a bad deal on it.
You did.
So
Yeah, you did.
and that lasted me all through the rest of my senior year. I probably bought that in the fall. So the Cadillac would have been my junior year,
Man.
and then the Acclaim probably would have been the fall.
So you've had like 3 cars for probably about $2,000. How much did you pay for the Escort?
I think the Escort, if my memory serves me, was like $3,000.
Oh, so you're in for like $3,100 bucks.
Yes, all in. all
3
in,
cars.
all in till I was a senior in high school, till I graduated.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I thought it was.
See,
It
the
was
next one
pretty
I
good,
remember
and-
you having was a G6. But I had,
So I had,
was gone for college, so.
I had the 2000 Monte Carlo. I think.
Oh,
it was
yeah,
a two-
yeah, yeah.
I think it
I
was a
remember
2000.
the maroon.
Yeah, it was maroon. Yep.
That was a sweet ride.
Yeah, that was a graduation present for my parents for
Oh,
graduating
nice.
high school and getting good grades and finishing off strong. So
Was it an SS, wasn't it?
It was an SS.
Damn, you had the top of the line one, too.
Yeah, it was really nice. It had the 3.8 Series 2 in it,
Yeah.
which are super nice motors. I think they still run them in.
The 3.8s.
Yeah, the 3.8, the Series 2. They
Yeah.
ran them in Paula's, in the Monte Carlos.
Yep,
and
I think
there
you're
were some
right.
other cars that they ran them in too. So
Where'd they get that, Lewiston Auto?
yeah, that was from Lewiston Auto.
Of course, that's where they go.
Yeah, that's where they were going at the time. I don't think they go there anymore, but they got all their cars from there. They were a big Buick family.
Well, yeah, they had that one from 89.
And that was the same motors. The 38 Series 2 were also in the Buick LeSabres.
Oh, yeah, that's right. 3800. I remember the 3800 is right across the plastic header of it.
Yeah, and there was
Yep.
different variations of it, but this was the Series 2.
course.
And that same one that they had in the LeSabres. So
So you've had your fair share of cars. Now,
not quite as many as you, but
not as many as me. That's okay. That's why I got the
that's tough.
Brews and Cruise podcast
Yeah.
here, because I have a lot of cars, I guess.
Yeah.
So which one of all of the ones that you've had, what's been your best one or favorite one that you've ever had?
that's a tough question because I think the one thing that's unique about vehicles. So I've never been like a greasehead
Yeah.
or somebody that likes wrenching on cars. I mean, I know how to do the basics, oil changes, things like that. And of course, now with technology changing, they've transitioned to a lot of electronic components.
Right.
So it's shifted that way. But my experience with vehicles have kind of been like the memories.
Yeah.
And then certainly like the timeline in your life and where you're at with it. So you have all these vehicles throughout high school. So you almost have those memories that are associated with that vehicle. So I
Yeah.
think answering that question can be a little bit difficult because there was different chapters in my life where
Sure.
I had those vehicles, and everyone was kind of, well, you go from the Escort, which was my dream car at the time, and I had a lot of fun with that car.
The dream car. Yes.
And a lot of memories, and I was one of the first friends in my friend group to have a manual transmission. So, like you had stated, trying to teach your friends how to drive a manual car, and so there's those memories in there, and then you feel like you're on down times where, oh gosh, the motor's gone on this one, and how am I gonna be able to save up? You're in high school at the time, and how are you gonna be able to save up to get another car,
Right.
and then be able to transition into somebody wanted that vehicle because they wanted it for whatever they wanted to fix it up, and they worked on vehicles. So then I got a Cadillac out of it, and at the time, Cadillacs were a big thing. So then I drove a Cadillac to
yeah.
school, and then that one decides to kind of get its life out of it, and then you get a car for $100 that lasts you almost
Sure.
a year. And
Well,
So
so okay.
anyway.
Do you have what's a good memory you have with one of your cars then? That you say each one had a memory, kinda. So, which one? The one you met your wife in? I don't know which one that is.
Well, that one, oh gosh. So now we're transitioning even further on to our vehicles. So we'll back up and let's go from the Monte Carlo.
Yeah.
So that was my graduation present, like I said, from my parents. Drove that for many years. Started to have issues with that one. So I went out and I got a Pontiac G6, 2006 Pontiac G6. So we had that one.
That one you drove for a while, I think, because didn't you drive that down to Nebraska when you were in
Yes,
grade-
yeah.
you had that at least
So
for
I
4
drove that
years.
for, I don't remember what year I purchased that in. Probably like 2010,
Okay, yeah.
right around there.
And then you moved
And
back
then-
here like 2015, I want to say.
I probably
14.
had the Pontiac for about 5 or 6 years,
Sure.
but I drove it back to and from Omaha and put a lot of miles on it.
Yeah.
I think that one, by the end of it all, probably had close to 180, 190,000 miles on it after that car is when I purchased my first boat from you. It was the Sea-Doo, the 1504 Sportster.
We'll get into boats next.
I guess back up a second. I had a vehicle before that because when I was remodeling that house on the east end of town, when I moved back from grad
yes.
school, I bought. So
I remember these.
you remember
'cause I was with you on both of them.
Yes, you remember the Escort? It was black. It was a black Escort with black rims.
Yep.
And then when I was remodeling that house that I purchased on a foreclosure when I first moved back from grad school,
Yeah.
I needed a pickup. So we were searching high and low for just a pickup that we could haul
Yep.
materials, and it didn't need to be anything fancy. And I remember we went out to Wisconsin and we test drove that Ford. Remember that green Ford F-150 that was on that farm?
I don't know if I remember that, but I know which vehicle you ended up with.
So, and anyhow, that one didn't work. That had some issues in it. I think there was a gas line leak or whatever. But that guy still tried selling it to me, and I was like, no, it's fine. But then we found that S10, that Chevy S10.
Yep, that's the one I remember.
And actually, I think it was what's the GMC version? Sonoma.
Yeah,
Is it
I think
Sonoma?
it's the Sonoma.
I don't think it was the Chevy. I think it was the GMC. Was the one that I found.
Classy.
And we found that one, and I think it was like $1,100.
Yeah, it wasn't much as
and
Crescent.
It was black, and it had black rims, and it was lowered.
Yeah,
so
it was lowered.
It was like an homage to my Ford Escort that I had.
Did it even have 4-wheel drive? I don't think it did.
No, it didn't. It was just a two-wheel drive truck.
Should have raced that.
Yeah. No, that it did exactly what it needed to do.
Yeah.
I was able.
You bought it for a purpose.
I bought it for a purpose. I was able to haul stuff in it. I was able to haul dirt and
because I was with you on your next purchase after that too.
Yeah, building supplies. So then the truck, and then that's why I had both cars. I had the G6 and I had the truck.
Yep. Gotta have both.
And then I bought the boat. Yeah. And I knew that two-wheel drive, the little GMC Sonoma was not going to pull that boat in and out of the river. So I went and got a Ford Explorer.
Yeah, I remember that.
I think it was a 2004 Ford Explorer.
Yep. That's what I remember, because I remember I came with both. I came with you on both of those, I think. And you got that Explorer, I remember. And then
you were there for the truck.
Yep.
We went down
I remember it was so tiny inside.
Yeah.
That was cool.
You couldn't beat the price on that. So then, yeah.
No, you couldn't. $1,100.
Transitioning, I traded both of those in. I actually ended up making, I think, $1,000 in the truck. I think they gave me like $2,100 or $2,200.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because you traded that in.
Yeah, they gave me like $2,200 on trade-in for it. Yeah. And then the car I think when I originally purchased back in 2010, I think it was maybe $5,500, $6,000 at the most. I think they gave me $4,500, $5,000 on trade-in on that one.
Sure.
So I ran that car for 5 years, and I think it only cost me $500.
So you had to get that. You had to get something else to pull the boat, right?
Yeah. So that's why I got the Explorer.
Gotcha.
And I don't know if you remember driving back from purchasing that. You came with me because you had to drive one of the vehicles back or down to the place because it was over in Sparta. So we both drove a vehicle over there to trade it in. And then oddly enough, the sales guy that I was working with wasn't there that day when we went to pick him up because he had just gotten into a high-speed chase on his motorcycle with the police. So we dealt with the owner of the dealership, and when I asked for him, I can't remember what his name is, doesn't matter. But when I went in there and asked, hey, I have this deal going, he said, yeah, I know about the deal. Yeah, he actually got arrested last night, so he's not coming in. And so that was kind of a wild thing. But anyway, so that's why you were with, and then we picked up the Explorer.
Didn't something happen to it right away?
Yeah, and that was the funny thing, because before I purchased the Explorer, they let me take it in and get it checked out by a mechanic to make sure everything was good. And the mechanic came back with their list and what they thought might need some attention, and there was things that they addressed. And overall, they handled pretty much everything on my list that the mechanic had told me about. And we drove it back, and I remember once we pulled in my driveway when we got back to Winona, antifreeze just started squirting everywhere. Yeah. But they fixed that. They took care of it. Well, they paid for it. I actually took it down to the garage down on Huff Street. What is that, Gordy's?
Yep, Gordy's.
Yeah. It was, I can't remember what it was, but it was like a $400 part. But that place over in Wisconsin, they said, yeah, we'll cover the cost of it.
That was nice of them.
Yeah. So then...
And then that's probably what you traded in for the truck you've...
No, actually...
what was between that?
I had a 2001 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo.
Really?
The Ford Explorer, the transmission went out in it. So the 2004, they're kind of known for having some transmission issues. So
I guess. Don't get one.
Yeah.
Unless it's got a new transmission in it.
Yeah, that's one thing to always look out for. So, no, I was driving to work one day and tried going and drive, and it wouldn't go, so I had to shift down into first gear, and I was able to get it to my destination where I needed it to go. So
at least you got there.
Yeah. So then I quickly went on the internet and found this 2001. I think it was 2001.
God, I had one of those.
Grand Cherokee Laredo. Yeah, that's what I kept saying to myself. I don't know how old at the time.
It was my first vehicle.
33 years old at the time, thinking, hey, I'm getting a used version of the same vehicle Chris had when he was 15.
Yeah, I remember I had some subs in the back of that thing. I used to rattle that bad boy.
No, but that was an absolutely great vehicle.
Yeah, they weren't bad. I mean, they were like...
It was black.
Like top of the line.
Yeah, it was black. Had a sunroof in there.
Man, maybe I kind of remember that.
150,000 miles, I think it was when I got it on there.
Yeah, because then you trade that in for your Ram. Because you've had that Ram for a while now.
Yeah. There wasn't necessarily a reason why I did it. I think it was just...
Right place at the right time?
Yeah, it was a heck of a deal on the Dodge. I think I got it about $8,000 under what they were valued at.
That was back when you could negotiate on cars. Nowadays they screw
And I
you.
didn't even really have to negotiate much because the price was so low.
Where'd you get a doll?
Yeah, I got a doll here when I found it on the internet, and
You've been riding that baby ever since.
took the Laredo, the Grand.
What'd they give you
Cherokee
for
Laredo.
that?
Oh gosh, I think I bought it for like $2,500, maybe $3,000. They gave me like close to $2,000.
Yeah,
When
when
it
you
was
get
like
that low,
$1,900, they gave me for it, maybe.
when you get that low, it's like they eventually just bottom out at. You know, I was reading somewhere it says like if you ever want to buy a vehicle, wait till the 10-year mark, and that's about where they bottom out, and then the prices eventually start going back up. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. That's what I read somewhere because I don't believe that. I mean, the Challenger back there, that's a 2009, so that's 14 years old. And I don't believe the price is going back up, but I don't think it's going any lower either. So it's probably hit that spot, and then eventually, because obviously classic cars, those just go up in value, which is so weird. You would think otherwise. You'd think they just keep going down. But I guess if you have a classic car, because here's where I'm going with this next. Eventually, gas might not be a thing. And that's what leads me to my next question, because you mentioned a car to me earlier today that kind of shocked me that you want to buy sometime in the next few years, and that is one of the new Toyota Priuses.
Yeah, 2023, they really changed their appearance of them, and I think they're really sharp looking.
I'm going to go on my next beer.
Which one are you at right now?
I'm going on to the email. That's one right here.
Number one?
That's the number one.
Okay. That was one of the things, I think they were trying to rebrand, maybe appease to a broader audience with the changeover in their appearance and the body style of the Prius. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic. I think
that photo you showed me looks like a sports car.
Absolutely.
Doesn't look like a nerd car.
I think, and I've seen one in person when I was at work, and I saw it driving down the road.
Oh, someone has one?
I don't know where they're from.
Sure.
And I've only seen it one time, and it was like a cream color.
Did the new style just come out? Like, is it 2023, 2024?
It's a 2023 model, and I don't know when they started delivering. I don't know any of that stuff. So, but really, really sharp looking vehicles. And my wife had a Prius prior to her vehicle now.
But it didn't look like that.
But no. She had a Prius C, which is kind of the condensed version.
Yeah.
There's different models of Priuses. And I never thought I would be a Prius family or want to own a Prius until the first year we were together. Full year 2017, we took a trip out to Wyoming. At the time, just her, she ran half marathons, and now we kind of both do it. And she runs now full marathons, but we'd gone out to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, 'cause she was running the Grand Teton half marathon. And so we took her car, and we went for I think it was a 5-day trip all the way out to Jackson Hole, up into Yellowstone and back around. And I think at the time, I don't remember what fuel cost at the time, but it was about $165 for us to do that entire trip in a Prius. So
that's pretty cheap.
That sold me quite a bit.
That's a selling factor.
And it even sold me on they're not the prettiest looking vehicles, and they're not going to be catching everybody's eye. But when I saw that 2023, I got pretty excited because not only I think did they take the component they already have, which is their motors, which are very, very good motors, and the fuel economy, which is excellent fuel economy with having an actual gasoline engine as well, and then transition that to now we have this amazing looking vehicle that if you saw that driving down the road right now, you'd probably think this is a sports car.
Yeah, it definitely looked like it because when you said Prius, I'm like, oh, okay. And then you showed me that, and you're like, oh, that's cool. Because Corey said the same thing. He goes, I want to get one of those someday too. And obviously, both of you guys have to drive a little further to work than most people do.
When you have a commute that's 15 plus miles, one way.
You can get there almost on.
You're really saving. Right now I drive my truck to work every day, and my commute's about, let's just say 50, give or take, there and back. And
Corey's got 50 about one way.
Yeah,
it's a long ways to go.
Yeah, so which obviously is more common these days with finding work that's outside of where you live.
Yeah,
for a lot of people in America. So it's a good balance of having that hybrid approach and not fully electric, so that you don't feel like you're having to plug it in.
And you don't look like a nerd.
And
with this
I do
one.
think the 2023 Priuses, they have the Prime version, which I think you can charge.
Oh, sure.
And then the standard one, which is just the standard Prius motor that is just a hybrid.
Yeah, because you got the Chevy Volt is like one of those ones where you can plug in and you get your first 40 miles on electric, and then it changes over. I'm on number 1. I think it's that one right there, your front one. This one is probably my favorite.
This was that email one?
This is the email. Yeah, this
Perfect.
one. Yeah, and it's just a double IPA is what it is. So, I mean, this one says it's got Galaxy, Rewaka, and Citra hops. So it's got a little citrusy flavor. It's more like a hazy IPA, I like to call it. But those are my favorites of the hazies. I can drink those on the river all day long. And, well, you know they're packed with a little punch to them, too, because this one comes in at 7.8%. 7.8. So that one's got some high octane in it. What's that one got? Let's see. Probably didn't have anything in it.
5.3.
5.3.
That's actually pretty light.
It's light
A little
compared.
bit heavier than your standard.
Yeah.
Standard ale.
Well, when it comes to craft beers, they are highlighted. It's not like your Bapples, and I know you like your Bapples. Those are your favorites for the river.
Yeah, Busch Light did a fantastic job, I thought, with making the fruity flavored drinks. The Busch Light apples and the Busch Light peaches.
Yeah, you like those peaches too.
You know, a lot of people that I talk to, and I think I would tend to agree that they like the peaches better than the
Really, maybe it's a little bit more subtle.
the apples.
Maybe it's more subtle of a flavor. I don't know.
Yeah, it probably is. Probably not quite as sweet.
Yeah, because I always just thought it tasted like the Bapples, the Busch apples. I thought they tasted kind of like a cider. And I'm not big into cider, so that's a tough one for me.
Yeah, I liked them both, but I think I did like the peaches just a little bit better.
Yeah, it's probably a little less distinct of a flavor. Now, are they coming out with a new one this year at all? Do you know?
Not that I've heard.
Because they've just done this like the last 2 or 3 years, haven't they?
I'm trying to think how long Busch Light apples were. I think Busch Light apples, they had it for 2 years.
Yeah, and I don't remember them doing that prior to.
I think they were
going
to do it for a year, and then
see how it goes.
I think people kind of said, we really like these, and I think they were selling a lot of them, so I think they extended it for a year.
Yeah, I mean, you know what you're getting when you buy a Busch Light. So it's kind of one of those things. You never know what you're going to get if you go to like a Toppling Goliath or a craft beer place because, I mean, I like to go to all of them, but after a while, they all kind of start tasting the same unless they do something really crazy. And that's where I'm interested to see what that one tastes like because that one's got cinnamon in it.
Well, you're a big fan of the Fireball, so I assume it's probably going to be similar along those lines of the taste.
I am a Fireball fan.
Yeah.
Shout out to Fireball. We need to get them sponsors on the podcast here. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
Just have a shot of Fireball before each one. Just get everyone loosened up.
Yeah, shout out, no free shout outs.
Hashtag no free shout outs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that one. That one's good. This one, it just came out this year, but see, they do a lot of goofy ones. So if you ever go down to this place, and I don't know if you've ever been down to Decorah, Iowa to go to Toppling.
I'm not a big brewery tour fan like you are.
Okay.
So I haven't been down there. I've been to some, but
Sure. This place is something else. So it's a restaurant too, and it's 2 floors. It's huge. It's on the outskirts of Decorah. You wouldn't even know it's there unless you went out there. It's like this big red building, really cool, kind of a cool place, and they got good food there. But they always have newer ones, and then they always have their standard ones, like the Pseudo Sioux. They'll always have usually King Sioux, Pompeii, Dorothy's New World Lager, and then they'll always have something like this one right here, or probably like the ones we're trying. I bet are on tap down there right now as well, because they'll bring out some funky ones for the holiday seasons as well.
So, kind of on that note, a question. You know, you like I stated, you know, you're a big tour. You like to tour breweries and go on brewery tours and things like that with your friends and family. Have you noticed? You know, have they become more popular? Have you noticed things where they're transitioning to? You know, you got the food, you got the brewery aspect of it, and you know, I don't want to say necessarily family oriented, but that's probably the best thing that I can come up with. Are they?
Yeah.
And the reason why I ask is you mentioned Toppling Goliath kind of being out in the outskirts.
Sure.
So if it's kind of out by itself, you know, have they added stuff or games or events where they host live music or stuff to like bring in families or to try to make it, you know, fully incorporated? Have you noticed any of those changes at all? Well,
okay. So when it does come to the breweries, it is a little bit more family oriented, no matter where you go. Toppling Goliath specifically, I don't know. It feels like a big restaurant when you walk in there. So if you notice, like on this one, they have a dinosaur on it, and they have dinosaurs on multiple different ones. However, they don't have a dinosaur theme. Toppling Goliath, I have a feeling is supposed to be like a Greek type thing because when I go there, there's always like a symbol of a guy. Looks like he's in a toga or a robe, stuff like that. But a lot of them, they're so different. And the thing I like about going to the craft beer places is I like the atmosphere. Each one has a different theme usually. So like you can go to Toppling Goliath, humongous. And I think they do have music events out there and stuff. But then you can go into Decorah and they have another place called Pulpit Rock. And that is like someone started up out of a big garage, like here almost, except for smaller. So you have like two different styles, but every place has a different feel to it. And some of my favorite places are really just around here locally, like in Lanesboro, you go to Sylvan. It's an old grain grain factory is what it is.
Yeah, I think actually the contractor that I had to do work on my house, that one I was talking about,
Yep.
that I bought on foreclosure, I think he did a lot of the work down there.
Really?
From what I remember, anyway.
It's really neat there.
Yeah.
And they kept the feel of it. And then they'll bring in, like music. So Stephanie's dad's played music there. We go and watch them, and it's just kind of like more of a family atmosphere. You're not going in watching college kids just, slam shot for shot and cheap beer for cheap beer. I mean, you go to these places, you're not getting a beer for less than $5 usually.
It's more of an experience.
It's just like going to the wineries. So the way I can compare craft beer or breweries is like going to a winery. Those have been popping up everywhere too. Any little place, they'll have a, you go to any town pretty much, you'll find a winery and most likely now a brewery of some sort.
Yeah.
I mean, a little town like Fountain, Minnesota. What's that got? A couple hundred people. They have a brewery there too, and it's been there for multiple years. So I don't know how they're sustaining because I don't know. The beer is expensive. It's not like you're going in there and you're spending $10 and you're gonna have a few beers. You're spending like $7 a beer, because like just this pack alone was $18.99 for 4 of them.
Yeah.
So I spend $79 on 4 times 4, 16 different beers of 16, pounders. So, I mean, you're really going there for the experience, and that's what I actually like about it. I just went down to Toppling Goliath this past summer on the cycles with my father-in-law, brother-in-law, and then my father-in-law's friends. So we all went down there, and we go and we'll have like maybe one beer, but then we'll also have food there. And then I took them on a little tour of. We went to Pulpit Rock. We went to Calmer, Iowa, which is just 10 minutes south of there. And that's got a different feel, too. And they had a beer that had some spice to it, and I'm hoping that's kind of similar to that, even though that's going to have a fruit flavor to it. But it was really good, and it had won some awards at some places, but, I don't know. Or, you go to El Maro, and they have this wine won all these awards. I'm like, well, you could go to any little county fair, and you get an award most likely. But yeah, you're going for the experience for sure. But this one's got a really big experience of like really good food too. I don't know. They're popping up everywhere. I like it. Winona has ours, Island City, which is going through a transition right now.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens through that transition.
I
think people are anxious about it. So
I think they're a little leery because I think they're going to change the name. Okay. And I think that worries people because that's when you change a name.
Well, it's a rebranding.
Yeah, it's rebranding, and you don't want things to go away. But I did meet the owner, one half of the owners last night when I was hosting trivia. Seemed like a nice lady. She knew me by name right when I walked in. She goes, "Are you Chris?" I'm like, "Yeah, how's it going?" She said, "Hey, I'm the new owner." She mentioned her name to me. So I'm hoping they keep the same feel. She was working last night, so hopefully she sees, like, these are the people that come here. A lot of us are regulars on trivia
make sure
night.
they know who you are. I mean, your picture's up on the wall as a majority shareholder into the business.
And it's because I drank so damn much.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like you said, you host trivia and you try to patronize the business as much as you can because it's local and
yep.
It's kind of has that friends atmosphere,
So yeah, when it comes to supporting local, as someone that works in real estate in this town, you always are now more conscious about like, hey, I want to try to support this place so it stays open because those big franchises, we don't really have that really much around here. Like we got McDonald's and all that, but I'd rather go and support someone that's trying to do something because when we had the sandwich company here, we realized how tough it really is to run a business like that, and it's not easy.
Yeah, it's all learning experience.
Yeah, and one bad experience can, really kill some of your business on other times. Like it could affect 10 different people, and they go, well, my friend had a bad experience, so I'm not going there. Screw that. And then you have a good experience, and who talks the most are the people that have the bad experience. So try to patronize the businesses as much as you can, even if you don't enjoy all their beers, because my dad didn't like these beers at all to start with.
I think he's got one that he likes, right?
He's got one.
I think I saw that on the Facebook post when we're announcing the
Yep.
transition to the new ownership. He wanted to. I'm sure you'd be able to say what beer that is because
I know exactly.
I can't remember what beer that was,
Yep.
but I noticed that he said that it's the only one that he liked. So
Yeah, it's called High Forest. It's a red lager.
Okay.
However, they used to have one
So
called.
Island City, the new owners of Island City.
Don't do
just
it.
make sure you keep that beer, otherwise Rich
Keep
will
High
stop.
Forest.
Rich won't come anymore.
I'll find him something else. This is funny because we'll go to a place and he goes, "What beer will I like?" And I'm like, "Well, you like a red lager or an amber lager, so you're gonna want something, even an Oktoberfest." And so I have to help him choose his beers now. Anyways, going on with that, he has now started enjoying these kind of beers a little bit more. He's not fully into it. So, like this IPA one, he would have his bitter beer face of this. Kick him back in the ass a little bit. But you get him like a lager, he likes lagers. So now when we go to a restaurant, he goes, "I want a beer. Which one will I like?" And I'm like, "Well, these are your 2 options or 3 options that you'll like. Choose from there." So it's always a Marzen, which is like the Oktoberfest, or it's going to be like a red amber lager. And those are his favorite ones. Island City used to have one as a black lager, and it was called Stone Circle. And then they never re-released it. I think it was just a temporary one. But it was a good one, too, and he loved that one. And I never see black lagers, so I don't even know what that entails. But black lagers are another one that he likes. But he is really picky when it comes to beer, and I'm not so much. At first, when Island City came in 2017, I was like, these beers are just nasty. And, some people think the same thing. But then I started trying different ones little by little. At first, I was into more of the sours, like the Berliner Weiss. That was one of them that they have down there. I think it was just called Berliner Weiss. That was my first one. Now, I couldn't really drink that much because it's just too sour for me. However, you get into an IPA, and it's like one of those ones that's got some hops and some kick behind it, and that's not for everyone. And I would have hated those back in the day. But now I give my dad like a Mick Golden. He's like, "Oh, give me something with a little bit more flavor in it." So,
well, and for somebody like your dad who only has 1 or 2 beers in a sitting, 2 would be a lot for him. Having a good flavored beer that he enjoys would be, most likely more enjoyable than just your standard.
Sure. Yeah. So he's come a long ways, and as have I since 2017. Because before I would have said, just give me a Bud Light, and I'm cool with that. And I still like to have a Bud Light here and there or something light, but again, you're going for the experience. Every one of them just has kind of a little unique feel to it. The ones I want to get up to are some of the ones up in the cities, like Surly. I hear that's a cool one. And I've looked at pictures online, and it kind of reminds me of going to Toppling Goliath, but I've never been there, so I don't know. But I'm hoping to get to Surly someday because that's a big one. Actually, the second biggest brewer in Minnesota behind Shells, because Shells is a big one, is Summit. And I didn't think Summit was a big one in Minnesota. I thought Surly would have been second biggest for sure. But it's actually Summit. So I didn't know that. I learned that was one of my trivia questions one time a couple months ago. Was Summit Brewing is the second biggest behind Shells, and most everyone knows Shells beer. It's kind of some cheaper stuff. But it's our biggest one in Minnesota.
Interesting.
And that's in New Ulm. So you can go tour that one too if you ever want to.
I've been to New Ulm once, and I think I drove past it, but I don't think we ever went and toured it. I was there for a wedding.
This one's good.
I'm not onto that one yet. I'm still on the...
I know. I don't know if I could do much of this, but
Is that the cinnamon one?
Yeah,
call
it's
it the holiday?
Cranberry apple. Cinnamon. It tastes like a wine, actually. Smells like one, too.
That's kind of what I thought about that berry one. It wasn't quite as... it has a little more... I don't know, harsh isn't the right word, but a little more bite than a wine would for a berry wine, but very similar.
For sure. Yeah, this is interesting. So anyways, what's going on in your life nowadays? I mean, you're married. You're my best man. What we got going on in the Hurley world?
Not a whole heck of a lot.
Not a whole heck of a lot. You're just waiting for the summer to come for
Yeah,
boating season?
Yeah, we're doing some traveling. We just got back from Florida last weekend.
Yeah.
We went down to the PNC Championship.
Did you just go one day?
We went for the Pro-Am on Friday.
So wasn't it? It was a 4-day event, right?
It's I don't know what they do Thursday. They do stuff Thursday, Friday. I think Thursday might just be the practice round.
Sure.
Friday they do a Pro-Am, and then Saturday, Sunday for this tournament. That's just a 2-day.
Yeah, I saw your Snapchat because you were sending us some of those, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool because you were right next to Tiger.
Yeah, it was a wonderful experience. I've been to several golf tournaments on the tour level, And this by far was probably one of my favorite ones. It's not part of the tour, but
Was there many people there? Because when I
so
watched it,
what PNC does for this particular event is they actually limit the number of tickets that they sell, because it's more of a family-oriented event.
Sure.
Most of the golfers, in fact, all the golfers in the field, it's either it's a father-son or father-daughter or daughter-father.
See, that was cool to watch that.
It's a super neat experience. I've watched it. It's been going on, I think, since 1996.
How do you
believe
know
it or
about
not?
that?
And I hadn't really heard about it.
Nobody cared until Charlie Woods came along.
Yeah, Charlie Woods came along, and him
Yeah.
and Tiger went it, and all of a sudden now everything kind of sparks people's attention. And so that was like the first that I heard about it. And the first year that Tiger and Charlie played in it, we were actually down in Florida visiting some friends, and I had thought about going up, but they didn't have any tickets at the time, and that was COVID. That was 2020.
Okay.
And that was actually, it would have been December, and Tiger was in his accident that February prior to that. So that was even a bigger deal, because it was Tiger's first tournament back since being in that car accident, which was kind of unheard of. Some people thought that he wouldn't even play golf again, and then he was in that event, and they actually took second to John Daly and John Daly the second. So that's kind of when I first became aware of the tournament. Last year I watched it too. This year, when I found out Tiger and Charlie were committed to it, I kind of went home to the wife and said, it's over my birthday weekend. It has been the past 3 years, and we didn't really have anything. Traditionally, we've always gone to a Vikings game for my birthday, and the Vikings, of course, were on the road that weekend, and we found some pretty cheap flights down there and decided to go. They were sold out the Saturday, Sunday of the tournament, but Friday. But
How much did it cost to do
tickets were $35 a piece.
Oh, that's
so
easy.
super reasonably priced.
So how do you get like the Saturday, Sunday ones? Do you have to like put a bid in for it, or just
No,
put your name?
you just had to go and
Should go.
get tickets at a
Gotcha.
certain time.
Because isn't the
Like I said,
Masters the other way? You gotta like.
Yeah, so it's way different than the Masters.
Okay.
Where it's a lottery. Of course,
Yeah.
a lot of people go years and they're not able to get any tickets to the Masters. So
Didn't you sign up for the Masters?
I've been on the
Every
list
year?
for like many golfers. I sign up every year when I can, and
So I gotta-
hope to get drawn for it, but so far no luck for anything.
So I got a story for you that's probably gonna make you mad. Well, not make you mad, but you're gonna be like, "What the hell? Why did you do that?" So I was down in Atlanta and I was working as a car dealer, and the church that I was going to, the youth director there was just a little bit older than us, around our age, maybe a little older. He goes, "Hey, I got tickets to the Masters. Do you want to go?" And I'm like, I gotta work. He's like, "Oh, really? That stinks." Yeah, I didn't realize how hard they were to get, because I should have gone. I should have quit my damn job.
Yeah,
Because I quit my job anyways, like 2 months later. So I had the opportunity to go for free.
Yeah.
Not only just to go for free.
I remember you had told me about that.
Yeah.
So
That now that I realize how valuable that would have been, I should have gone. And I kicked myself in the ass for not going.
well, yeah, there's actually a lot of schools have thought that now, since they started they have a women's tournament there. I think it's 2 weeks prior.
Okay.
Either the 2 weeks prior or the week
At Augusta?
prior. At Augusta.
Okay.
So now a lot of people that I know have been putting in for those tickets just so they can get into Augusta and walk
sure.
the course. So that's one way to do it. But
So then if you get the bid, you buy them then, right?
yep.
Okay. So if they draw your number or whatever it might be.
Yeah, they'll send you a notification saying that you've been selected. You can go into the selection period, and you can select so many tickets for the practice rounds, and then
Sure.
so many tickets for the.
Does it
for the
say how
tournament
much?
rounds.
Does it say how much it would cost you if you
I
won
can't
them, or-
remember, but I think for the tournament rounds themselves, like the days of the actual tournament, probably right about $100.
Damn, that's pretty cheap.
Yeah, it's everything else that the cost to get you
Yeah,
there.
I'm sure.
The hotels and the flights and stuff like that.
But don't they
because
have cheap food too? Isn't like everything really cheap for the food wise?
I think what they try to do is keep that tradition alive, where they have affordable
cheap
food.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't.
because they could price gouge you if they wanted to.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you still
and that
pay.
was one of the things that was so fantastic about the PNC Championship is their prices were not unreasonable. I mean,
No?
they really catered, I think, to the wanting to the experience to be part of the family event.
Yeah.
And they had, at least from what I saw, you had soda and waters and those
Yep.
type of things. But as far as the alcohol that they served at the places that we went to, they had Corona and High Noon. And so I had a couple High Noons. I had never had High Noon in my life, and I thought it was actually a pretty
That's just
good
a seltzer,
flavor.
right? Or
I think it might be classified as a
Sure.
seltzer. I don't know what the actual definition would be, but yeah, very similar. But I've tried various seltzers,
Yep.
and some of them tend to be a little bit sweet.
You like it?
Yeah, they were
bad.
pretty good. I think I'm gonna probably try to get some in the future.
Put some on the boat.
I had a peach, if you can believe that or not, a peach one, and then I had a pineapple one.
I'd go. Yeah, I don't. Not neither one of those are my favorite flavor, but I'd have to choose.
They
peach.
have a big selection of different flavors that you can choose from. So those are just the ones that I happened to grab. But
was it located in Orlando? Is that where it was at?
yeah, it's right at the Ritz-Carlton and
Sweet.
the Marriott, and right in Orlando. There, fantastic course. I mean, everything was just in great shape. The accommodations were great. We had the general admission ticket, so you actually had to park off of the, I'll call it the campus because the Ritz-Carlton and the Marriott, that's kind of a resort, so everything is,
right, yep.
We have a one-stop shop for everything. We got restaurants and everything in there. So our hotel was probably 2 miles from, they had a parking ramp off-site that you would go park at free of charge,
Yep.
and then they had coach buses that were top of the line that took you the
Sounds
5 or
cool.
6 minute to the front gate. You walked right in, and
Was it just you and Allison that went?
yeah, just Alice and I. We went and we got there. We got there when the gates opened at 7 o'clock in the morning. I think Tiger's tee time was 9 a.m. that day, and so yeah, I mean there were all the tournaments in the past that I've been to, and I started going probably in the early 2000s. 2001 might be my first one that I was ever at with Tiger, and of course some things have changed with phones.
Yeah.
Phones weren't allowed. So
I
this
got
was the
mine
first-
taken away.
This was the first golf tournament that they had phones. So that was a unique experience in itself because it just changes the environment. But also having limited number of guests, I think, really changes things a lot because I had left. We were at the driving range watching some of the golfers practice, and then I had left to go to the bathroom and came back. And when I came out of the restroom area by the putting green, which is just behind where the driving range was, I kind of noticed a couple rows of people, whereas before when we were there was barely anybody there. So I kind of suspected that Tiger and Charlie were over there, and that's
Oh,
so I
sure.
walked over there. But there was not really any crowds. You didn't have to fight with anybody.
That's cool. That's nice.
Yeah,
That's nice.
it was just like the course was in great shape. Everybody was in good spirits. I was able to kind of wish Tiger a good round, and he said thanks, and so that was kind of a unique experience.
He talked back to you.
Yeah.
Nice.
I thought that was pretty cool. Other
bet.
tournaments. One of the tournaments actually in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, up at Whistling Straits. I think it was a PGA Tour. I can't remember what year I was at. Was like my first time, I think, actually seeing Tiger up close. Maybe second. But back then he was more of all business. So he kind of just walked right past you, and where this one's more, like I said, it's more family friendly.
Yeah, I noticed it seemed really relaxed when I was watching some of the people. They're just having fun with their kids, and
which is such a cool experience with golf because, they're trying to grow the game. And I think this is a good way to do it. I was able to see some golfers that are on the Champions Tour. Lee Trevino.
Sure, yeah.
And Bernhard Langer, who actually ended up winning it with his son, to up and coming golfers. Nelly Corda and her father.
See the person, the father-son duo that won it. I didn't even know who they really were, and then they've won it like 5 times already.
Yeah, Bernhard has. He's won it 5 times, I think, with this son. I can't remember what his son's name was.
Oh, okay.
I think they've won it 3 times, and then
That's still a lot. And I've never really heard of the guy.
Yeah, well, he's been golfing for years. I grew up watching him. Now he's been on the Champions Tour for quite some time now. I think. Well, I know he's the leading. He's got the most wins on the Champions Tour, and I think it's like 43.
Yeah.
So
the weather wasn't that great, was it? Because it looked like it was cloudy and
so
like
Friday
68.
was good. Friday we probably had mid 70s.
Okay.
A little bit of cloud coverage, but then the sun would come out and then the clouds would come again. It was a little windy. So as far as playing golf, I think they had some challenges. I know Saturday it rained pretty much all day.
Yeah.
So I know that Saturday was a challenging day for the golfers out there. But
Did you watch John and his son at all? Or
yeah, actually,
is the kid good? Because he's out of college already.
I didn't really. No, I think he's still down.
Is he still in Arkansas?
Can't remember. Yeah, Arkansas is where.
I know that's where he's at.
I believe he's still there. I can't say for certain though. One of the things that they do. So Tiger teed off at 9 on hole 1, 9 a.m., and then they had the Dalys teeing off at 9 on hole 10.
Dalys.
It was kind of one of those balancing acts. Okay, who are we gonna watch?
Yeah.
So when we got there, it was we obviously wanted to see Tiger and Charlie. That was kind of the main focus and the draw for us to go there. But I also wanted to see JT and his dad. Justin
Justin Thomas was there too with his
I wanted
dad,
to see Nelly Corda and her dad. because she's just, she's been doing some fantastic things.
I don't know much about LPGA.
Yeah, she's Olympic gold medal winner.
Okay.
Just really expanding the game, growing the game. So we watched, obviously, the warm-ups and things like that. We watched Tiger and Charlie tee off, and then it was pretty much back-to-back. We had Tiger and Charlie, JT and his dad, and then Nelly and her dad. So then we kind of followed their round, Tiger's round after that, through the first 9.
Yeah.
And then we figured the Dalys would probably be on hole 10 at that time. So or hole 1, their hole 10, because they started on hole 10.
Sure. Oh, they started on hole 10.
Yeah, they started on hole 10.
Oh.
So then we were like, we got done with like hole 9 with Tiger. So then we walked over to hole 1, and then that's when we were actually able to. John Daly we had to wait about 10 minutes, but then we were able to see him and his son.
That's cool. Is he smoking and drinking his Diet Coke?
So he pulled up on the cart when I was standing there next to the ropes at the tee box, and he pulled up next to me, and he had a cigarette in hand and listening to his music. So
did he have one? Now I saw your photo or your video. Did he have like a speaker that was like a magnetic to his thing?
That's the one thing I didn't really pay attention to.
So I saw these things on Instagram, and it was you put it on your cart on the metal pole. It's really highly magnetic. It's a speaker, but it's also a rangefinder. So
yeah, Bushnell makes those.
Bushnell?
Yeah, they actually make those.
So I'm interested in possibly getting one of those because I was like, well, we always want a speaker, and I bring that giant one along every time. So, and then it also is a rangefinder, so you can see how far away you are. I
think with those particular rangefinders, it's a GPS one through that speaker. So I think you could load up the course like I'm playing at the Bridges or I'm playing at Cedar Valley or wherever you're playing at, and I think it just uses the GPS, similar like a GPS golf watch.
That'd be cool. See, I don't like wearing a watch. I don't like wearing a watch golfing.
No, I'm the same way.
So this would be great, and I might have to buy one because I think they're only like $200. I don't think they're that much.
No, actually, we were just looking at those for my birthday. That was one of the gifts that Allison got me was a golf rangefinder.
Oh, she got you one.
Yeah, so she wasn't sure which one I got or which one that I wanted. So she had got me one that was kind of like a belt clip one, which is like the GPS one.
Yep.
And we're gonna exchange that one because I wanted one that you could actually.
Like a eyeglass one.
The eyeglass one where you can actually pinpoint on a fixed object.
Yep.
Versus like the GPS one, but that was one of the options that she looked at was that speaker GPS combo.
Yeah, see, I like my music and stuff, and that would be cool to have.
So Bushnell makes their version with just the speaker, and then they have one that's speaker and.
I might have to get one of those. I don't know, because we got to defend our title of best dressed team per usual, because that's what we do every summer.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we might have to get some new shirts this year.
Well, I'll tell you what. Another gift that I got this year for my birthday was a golf shirt, and they have some on Amazon that are they're more in price range if you're getting together with a tournament or having a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And you don't want to spend $80-$90 on a golf shirt for one time or whatever it is.
Well, maybe if I can get Bad Birdie to sponsor this, I could get some free shirts.
Shout out, no free shout out.
No free shout outs unless they're giving us free shirts.
Yeah.
I just did they had a sale going on. It was a $100 mystery box, and it said it came with at least 2 polos and a hat. And so I'm waiting on mine to come. So I'm interested to see what I got. Yeah, $100 because like you said, one of those shirts was like $70.
Yeah, I think we paid $80 for ours that we bought for our tournament.
Yeah.
Which are nice shirts.
No, they are
excellent.
I have like.
But if you're trying to do a different shirt for every tournament, or we're in a lot of tournaments, and then it quickly adds up because now you add the $80 to the cost of the tournament.
Golf ain't cheap, my friend.
No. So
what's funny about the golf tournaments is I went to one when I was living in Atlanta. It was the PGA Championship, I believe. It's sponsored by Coca-Cola or FedEx or something like that. Can't remember which one it was. Anyways, it was down at Atlanta Country Club, and it was so weird because I'm expecting, when you go to a football game, you know what you're expecting. You're gonna walk in this large place, people are cheering. No, this was really weird. It was just like you're walking around freely. And then there's giant tents set up, and they're like restaurants, pop-up pro shops, pop-up bars. It was so weird. And then you're just kind of walking along, and then, there's a golfer right over there. Oh, that's cool, yeah. Oh,
see, what year was that you went to that?
2013, I believe.
So was that during when Tiger was having some of his medical stuff? Was
don't
Tiger
believe,
at the tournament, I guess?
Not that I'm aware of. But Phil Mickelson was, and as I was taking a photo of him, that was back before phones were allowed, so I got mine taken away that day.
That's funny.
However, it turned out to be okay because of the fact that it downpoured that day, and I wasn't dressed in rain gear by any means, so my phone would have probably been fried. And so it was in a little plastic baggie at the guest services. So I picked it up afterwards. I'm like, it was okay. You guys took my phone away because I got a few shots of people, but my phone would have been just drenched and probably gone because they weren't waterproof at that point.
Yeah.
But it was so weird. It was not what I was expecting. So it was really neat.
And see, every tournament that I've ever been to, Tiger was a participant in.
Yeah.
So I've kind of had to experience that. But I kind of know what you're saying because
It just doesn't
the
feel like you're
tournaments,
at an event. Feels like you're just having a fun day walking
like you're just
around.
walking a golf course.
You're walking a golf
and
course.
and what I like to call the Tiger effect, and that's where it kind of changes things, right? So I remember our first
Tiger effect.
like we call it the Tiger effect because the first
Okay.
tournament that I ever was at, 2001 in Hazelton.
2001?
Yep, up
Okay.
in Hazelton, the golf course is up in the south side of the cities.
Okay.
And they've done a few PGA championships. I
Yep.
think they've done 2. So this has been our first one. And we got there. It was my dad, my brother, and I.
God, right in the heart of Tiger Woods. Area,
Right in the
blowing
heart,
up.
Right in the heart of it. We got there. He was just teeing off. And 10 rows of people probably. I bet there was probably 10 rows of people watching him tee off.
Jeez, that's so cool.
So we talked to one of the volunteers and, oh, hey, can we get up to Tiger? We want to get up to Tiger close up. And so that volunteer at the time had told us, if you want to see Tiger close, you're probably going to have to go about 9 holes ahead of him.
Oh, jeez.
9 or 10. So I think at the time we decided to go to hole 10. So he was teeing off on 1, had just teed off. And so we made the decision,
Wow.
we're going to walk over to 10. We'll walk the course just a little bit just to get a feel for it.
Yep.
But then we're going to go to hole 10. We'll wait for him so we can see him tee off.
That's nuts.
And then we'll follow him as best as we can for the rest of the round. And, I mean, this was a full, I can't remember what day, doesn't matter, but I think it was a Saturday or a Sunday. So
The
they
good
had-
days.
Yeah, the good days. And they had
Yeah.
the cut. They had the cut, the cut had been made. And every other golfer that went past, it was like you and I were golfing with our family or friends and a
Nobody's
couple
watching.
people, but there was like they'd go up and they'd tee off and they'd say, oh, okay, yeah, good shot. And then they'd keep going about their business. And when Tiger showed up to that hole, I mean, there was probably 25 camera crews, both video and still photography.
Cool.
And just the cameras following him as he was walking. So it was night and day difference. And like I said, we were front row, so we'd waited for 2 hours to see him just tee off. And
You watch
the
when they're
crowd's
teeing
behind us.
off, and they have a line down each side. I'm like, if he shanks that ball, you're going to be in for a world of hurt.
yeah.
But I know that's how accurate they are. But just think if people were lined up like that from us, we'd be sitting there like,
it's kind of funny you mentioned that because that was one of the interesting that happened to us. So we got done watching the Dalys at the PNC Championship. We walked around some of the back nine a little bit, but then we decided that we wanted to be able to see Tiger come in on the 18th with Charlie, and
Yep.
we decided to move to the grandstands. So we probably had 45 minutes to watch some of the other golfers come in. We were right next to the green there on the 18th, and Friday was the Pro-Am. So the method that they did for the Pro-Am was, so they had the parent or whoever was not the tour professional. So
Yep.
let's say it was Nellie and her dad. So then they'd have the dad, and he golfed with some amateurs. I think it was like 3 others. And then she golfed with 3 others. And they had them split up within one tee time. One group would tee off, next group would tee off. And I can't remember which group this was, but it was one of the amateurs that was hitting a shot on the 18th, and it was an approach shot from the right side of the fairway. And we saw him swing, and we didn't see the ball, and no one saw the ball. And then we heard a thunk, and there was a guy sitting about 4 or 5 seats next to me, and then down a row,
Yeah.
and it hit him right in the temple. And the fire department had to come. Yeah,
Yeah, I think you told us that
yeah.
in the group
the
text
fire department had
message.
to come and
Oh,
escort him off, and
Gosh.
it was kind of a wild experience. And of course, most of the golf tournaments, when you got the tour players and they know that they hit somebody, and you got cameras on and things like that.
Yeah.
Sign a glove or sign a ball or whatever. But this amateur, he wanted nothing to do with it. So we couldn't quite figure out who it was that took the shot because they were so far. It's a long par 5 at the Ritz-Carlton at that course. So we didn't see who it was their second shot. And we couldn't see that far away on who was hitting it. But I suspect that there was one guy kept kind of looking up. So I thought maybe it was him, but he never came over. But yeah, I mean, they figure 100.
He just scurried
It's coming
off.
at you about 100, 110 mile an
No
hour.
kidding.
So
So you just sign a golf ball, sign a glove. It's like putting a Band-Aid on a kid. They feel better and everything's good.
yeah, but this gentleman, he didn't get anything signed, or
Jeez.
the fire department came and just took him away. So never saw him again. So I don't know what happened. I hope he was all right because Yeah, he was kind of.
Let us know. Comment below if you're still alive, sir.
Yeah, he looked a little shook up, so I felt
bet he
bad.
did.
So
he's only like 4 or 5 seats away from you.
yeah, probably 5
So
foot.
you're pretty close to getting hit too.
Well, it's kind of funny that you say that because, so I was sitting, like, let's say I'm sitting where I'm at. Allison's next to me. Let's say she's right here, and there was a gentleman on the other side of her, and there was another ball that came in, and this golfer actually yelled 4. So we all kind of ducked, and Allison said that when she got done looking up, the guy's head was in her lap. So she's like, I was protecting him. I was like, it should have been the other way around. But he must have been pretty scared. So he
probably got hit time or two from a golf ball.
So he needed her to protect him. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Well, this summer we got to get off of just being the best dressed, and we have to win ourselves a tournament yet.
Yeah, it can be tough to do with,
It is when you have a few beers in you.
Yeah, well.
And some sour cream tacos.
Yeah, that's one of the things towards the end, when we want to win one, you got to focus.
We got to focus.
You got to put your A game on and show up. And
right when I get to
time.
about hole 9 of beer in me, I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm usually having good. That golf course that we went to for my bachelor party, that was sweet.
Yeah, that was a
cool.
pretty nice course. I was pretty satisfied with that.
Yeah, I was happy too. I think everyone else, even though only maybe half of us were golfers, still a really cool experience because you get to experience somewhat of a professional level golf course, or at least the best you're going to get around this area.
Certainly in the shape that the course was in.
Yeah, and
which I've heard was kind of the best it's been in a while. So
yeah, and the lack of rain this year, I'm surprised actually.
Us, yeah.
And then Jay gets a hole-in-one on like the 3rd hole.
Second
hole.
Hole number 2.
Jeez, I thought you guys were lying to us.
I'm pretty sure it was hole number 2.
Yeah, so then I remember.
Yeah, because 3 was the replica from Augusta.
Yep. So I remember all of a sudden beer started coming back to us. I'm like, he must have really got the hole-in-one, and sure enough,
I didn't even know he bought you guys beers.
Well, all of a sudden the cart girl came back and
he
said,
must have.
Each one of you gets like 3 beers. I'm like, okay.
Oh, yeah.
And then we flagged him down like a couple holes later. I'm like, did you really? He's like, yeah, got it. I'm like, because
he must have done that because I wasn't drinking that round at all. And
because the night before.
So, and Corey was with our group.
Yeah.
And Corey tends to spend more time with the shot girl or the cart girls, not the shot girls. He tends to spend more time with the cart girls than he does golfing. So I was pretty frustrated with him by that time because we were waiting on the green and I was waiting there for probably 15 minutes while Corey was trying to get a drink made for him. And I was a little frustrated.
Him and his cart girls.
Yeah, I was a little frustrated with that because they were trying to line them all up. And
see, Jay's such a quiet guy. He's like not a guy that's going to be like, yeah, I got a hole-in-one. So I was like, man, he's not like making any emotions. We didn't really hear much.
There wasn't much from him.
No,
there was actually more from Corey because Corey was going to grab the ball out of the cup. I had to yell at him. I said, this isn't your ball to grab out of the cup. I said, that's Jay's hole-in-one. But, Corey not being a golfer.
Yeah, right. That's okay.
He's got no idea. So
my whole group, lack of golfers. It was Josh, Dave, and Paul and I, and we had a really fun time. I was shooting some of the best I had shot all year long. I was like, I wish we could have had some sort of tournament that day because, like one of our scramble tournaments because I was playing so damn good. Like I couldn't miss a shot. Yeah, I don't know what was going on with me.
Yeah, Justin and Corey's balls were going sideways.
Yeah, they tend to do that.
You talk about being in the PGA Tour and like crowd stand next to you and you got to hit through this window. Well, the only thing you got to worry about golfing with Corey and Justin were don't be directly to the side of them because that's usually where the balls went.
Just stand in front of them.
If you stood right in front of them, you would never have to worry about being hit in your entire round of golf with them. But yeah, there was tons of times where it was straight off. I swear it was off the top of the club right in the
Man,
leads.
it's so funny. 2 years ago when Corey broke his clubs, $900 worth.
Oh yeah,
takes the T marker and
and
then returns it.
Yeah, and one of the things that I think is funny is some of the memories you make on the golf course with your friends or your loved ones. One of the big things Alice and I have really gotten into is I got her a set of clubs a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And I figured, hey, I enjoy golf, and let's see if she can. And she really enjoys the golf, so we try to go out once, twice a week together, just as a couple. And those memories are just fantastic to make. So you hear these stories, and we talk about these stories, and we laugh about them, but it's also memories that you're going to have with you.
We'll never forget them.
Yeah. I remember, speaking of your bachelor party, we were walking up to one of the holes, and we were approaching the green, and so it's Justin and Corey and Jay and I. And obviously, this was your bachelor party, so you were getting ready to get married, and I was married. I am married, and Jay's married, obviously, and Corey was walking up, and he said, "Well, Justin, Looks like it's just you and me. We're bachelors for life. And it was funny because obviously Justin's married.
Yeah.
And Justin's like, I'm married. So, and those are things that, like, I won't forget those things.
Yeah,
So
that's a good story.
So he just kind
telling us that.
of, he kind of laughed because Corey just kind of had a little bit of a space in the
Well,
brain there.
Justin,
Well,
looks
just
like-
you and me, bachelors for life.
Did Justin go, no, I guess it's just
His
you,
response
buddy."
was literally just like, yeah, I'm married.
How did he
So-
not know?
I think Corey probably just spaced it out.
Oh, he just had the shot girl.
But
on
I do
mind.
think that's actually when he said, well, fine, maybe he'll have to propose to the gal he's dating at the time, Kathy.
We'll find out.
So I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, times will tell. Maybe we'll get him on the cast, and then he'll be married.
Yeah, you never know. Maybe.
I don't know. He said he wanted to come on.
Well, yeah, you got to get him on.
That'll
Be
be
interesting to see what he has to talk about.
Yeah, I wonder. So I want to transition into another thing that actually you taught me what to do, and actually I succeeded on this one. That's riding a motorcycle.
Ooh, I like it.
I didn't do well with the shifting of the Escort, but I did learn eventually how to ride a motorcycle.
Well, and you also learn how to drive a manual car. Just
I
later-
did
later
eventually,
on. Yeah,
yes.
yeah, later.
And the same concept applies, but it was really weird at first. But I remember after about like 30 minutes, you and Matt were teaching me how to do it like on a side road. Eventually, I got the hang of it pretty fast, and it's been very fun ever since. And I have bought how many different cycles now? So
Well, some of them are more garage ornaments than others.
some are more
Yeah.
garage ornaments than others, like a Hayabusa or a Ducati that was uncomfortable beyond all belief.
Yeah.
I remember I thought because I was in a Kawasaki Ninja 636. I remember you had to test drive it. We went to Waseca, Minnesota, and you had to test drive it at like 10 o'clock at night after we had left there. And this is where the good story comes in.
Oh, yeah.
When we brought it back, my dad had a few choice words to say. How does that go again?
Well, I think you have to. I think you have to back up a little bit.
Back up.
And kind of express, you had told your dad that you were going to look at a motorcycle. He was very much opposed to it because he thought they were very dangerous.
Even though he has some.
He's got the Shriner for sure.
He's got the Shriner bike.
But so he knew that we were going to it. I don't think that he thought that you were actually going to purchase one.
Right.
Because he had such opposition to you getting one. So I think that when we showed up with a bike in the back of your
Yeah.
I can't. Oh, do we have a trailer? Did we put it?
We
in
put it in the
your
back of the truck.
Put it back in the Cadillac. Yeah, wasn't it the Cadillac?
I think it was my Dodge Ram. I think I had that maroon Dodge Ram.
Yeah, probably.
Yep. And yeah, we just loaded it right in the back there.
So yeah. So and then of course we were dropping it off at.
It was the old garage, the old man.
Is that where we were taking the motorcycle to?
Yep.
Okay. So
Now
we're dropping
Fast
the
and all
Yeah.
has that
So we were
building
taking the
there.
motorcycle there, and he came over from his office.
He sure did.
And it's where it's kind of been the famous words that whose ramps are these and whose straps are these, because we had of course the motorcycle ramp that I had
Yep.
and straps that we had found somewhere, whoever's straps they were.
They were yours.
Yeah. So
And then he asked whose motorcycle that was.
yeah,
that was mine.
He wanted to know whose motorcycle it was, and
Gosh, I remember that. That was so funny. We roll up. Well, whose ramps is this? That's Brett's. Well, whose straps? Brett's. Whose bike? Mine. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He was not thrilled. And I remember I learned how to ride it like the next day. And then I rode to my softball game with my softball bag on the back. So I got real acquainted real fast with it. But it's been fun ever since. I've really enjoyed it. I never thought I'd get off of the crotch rockets. And, well, obviously we both have gotten off of those, getting a little older. But they are a little bit more fun and enjoyable to ride, I think.
yeah, I transitioned from my Jigster that I had when I got in college. Well, I had a Suzuki Katana was my first.
Yeah,
one.
I
It was
remember
a
that. You were going to sell it to Stephanie, I think, at one point.
Yeah, 1996 Suzuki Katana. That was like a touring sport bike, I think they called that. That was
Yeah,
great.
it sat more upright.
Yeah, great bike. I put over 20,000 miles on that thing. I think.
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
Holy
my first
cow.
year I had it, I think I put 15,000 miles on it. When I was
Whoa.
riding with Corey and a lot of the biker friends that I met.
What'd Corey have?
At that time, Corey had a Honda CBR.
Okay.
He had bought BK's old bike.
I didn't know what
Corey
he
had bought it before me.
Okay.
He bought the purple and yellow.
Purple. Oh, that's a
The
sharp
CBR.
I remember that. I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
that's when he called me up and he says, "Hey, meet me at the park. I'm going to stop by and show you the bike." And then so I walked over to Sinclair Park actually when I lived on East Broadway. It was
Oh,
a
yeah.
block walk for me, block and a half walk for me, and then he just drove right past me. And I didn't hear from him until the next day.
He's just like
He
going
told-
to the park.
He told me,
Zoom.
no, he told me he was going to stop. He's like, "Hey, I'll meet you there. I'll show you the bike." Yeah,
drives right
You
past.
just drove right past.
That's
so
a Corey
was
thing to do.
Yeah, that was a very Corey thing to do. So that was his first bike, and then he eventually upgraded to a 2009 CBR, and that was brand new at the time.
Okay.
But I had my Suzuki Katana, and then when I was in grad school down in Omaha, I purchased a 2006 Suzuki GSXR 600.
That's another good story because the damn thing lit on fire
Oh yeah, we had a.
while I was behind you.
Gosh, what?
We're going down the hill.
But what was the part that went out? I can't.
I don't
remember
know.
what it was. It was like a $300 part.
I
But yeah, it
shouldn't-
started on fire.
Dude, I couldn't believe what I was
We were going
watching.
to a car show, or I think a cruise night.
Yeah, we were going to cruise. We went out to see your parents. You went to
No,
talk to
that's
your
where I
parents.
was staying with my parents at the time because it was when I was.
Oh yeah, your house was being remodeled. Right?
Yeah,
yeah.
That's when I was fixing up that foreclosure.
Yeah, so then
I
I
was
come
staying
out
up
there,
there.
and all of a sudden we're going down the hill, and all of a sudden I see fire and sparks coming out. I'm like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, that thing just
and
started
you
on
like
fire.
pull over, and it's on fire,
Yeah.
and you're in shorts.
Yeah. Thankfully, we got it put out.
Yeah, no kidding.
And then we were able to go. We went back to my house, my parents' house, and we got the truck, the
Yeah.
black truck I got.
Black truck, yeah.
We took the ramp
And the straps.
and the straps, and then we loaded it up and drove it back to the house. And
Gosh, that's right.
Yeah.
We were going to a cruise night, weren't we?
yeah, we were on our way to cruise night.
Damn, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I'm like, holy hell. So then with that, then you went and got did you get the Sportster after that? Because I was with you for the Sportster.
Yep, I had the Jigster. Of course, got that thing fixed. It was
Yeah.
bolt on. It was-
Peanuts.
Yeah, it was easy fix.
Peanuts.
Yeah, they were able to fix that, no problem. And then, I think I had ridden a couple cruisers. Some friends had, and I was like, this is a much more enjoyable ride.
Yeah.
But at the time, both Alice and I had the sport bikes.
That's right, she had the Ninja.
Yeah, she had her Ninja, 250, I think.
Yep. It was a 250 black with a little bit of red accents on it. Because
Yeah.
Stephanie had a 300, and that was white and black with a little green on it. They actually weren't that uncomfortable.
And her and I went on probably one or two rides together when we both had the sport bikes. And then we just didn't as much. And of course, Allison wasn't riding on the back of the sport bike,
Well, yeah. Who
so
the hell
she had her
wants to
own
do that
bike,
long
and
term?
I wasn't comfortable. So I don't know what spark kind of ignited in me that I wanted to do the cruiser. But so then I figured I'd start. Typical Harley owners do. They start at
Small.
a more affordable price range.
Yep.
Not necessarily the size of the bike. That's part of it, but for me, it was definitely the affordability of the Sportster. It was right
Yeah,
in the
what'd you
price.
pay? Like 6?
Oh yeah, I think it was just.
I think it was
59,
like 6. Yeah.
right around 6, somewhere around there. And so it was right in my price range, and I got, I don't remember what it was, $4,500 for the trade-in on the Suzuki. So
Yeah, that's not bad.
no, it was a pretty good deal. And then of course, just like many Harley owners do, they ride the Sportster for a while, and then they realize, oh, okay, I got about 100 miles, 150 miles. I think Alice and I did a 147-mile trip one time, and I said I had to get it to 150, so I dropped her off at the house.
Yeah.
Rode 3 miles around town just so I could say I rode it once, one motorcycle trip at 150 miles on that Sportster. So, then I started, like I said earlier, with the commute to work. I had started riding it to work more to save on gas. So at that time, I'd always wanted to get a street glide. So I started looking, and actually the salesman that I bought the Sportster through, about a year or two after, I think it was a year after I had the Sportster, I said, if you ever find a good deal on a street guide, let me know. And like I said, started riding the bike to work, so figured it'd be a good time, and it had a good price on it. So.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely the saddlebags do make a difference. I always thought they looked like an old man's bike, but nowadays they look so much different. I'm like,
oh, I like the
there's-
fairing, the music,
Yeah.
the cruise control.
the music is great.
I don't know if
Yes.
it's a sign of just enjoying the finer things in life or just
I think it
getting
is,
old.
yeah. Well, I think, after you stop battling the wind, it's a lot more enjoyable. And then and music is always fun, or listen to a podcast like this. You might listen to this on your Harley.
Well, and I had speakers on my Sportster.
I remember you had like a
I had
little
audio designs install an amplifier and 2 little speakers,
yeah,
but
yeah.
at highway speeds you couldn't. In
Yeah.
town it was just perfectly fine.
Yeah,
You
that's
could
right, you
hear
wouldn't
it,
be able to
yeah.
hear it.
Absolutely hear it, just wonderful. But we got to highway speeds and you weren't able to hear it.
I know. I used to have to put headphones in. I think it's illegal to do that, but I used to put headphones on, and I'd ride, and then they'd be dangling out and flapping every which way, and then it'd fall out. I'm like, that's annoying.
Yeah.
But it is nice having the music for sure, and then being able to lock saddlebags, because Justin and I, we took our trip out there, and he's one that does not like having music. He likes to hear the wind. I'm like, man, that's boring. just hearing wind all
Yeah,
day.
I
I
guess
guess each their own, but I was like, man, it was so much more enjoyable going to Milwaukee on a bike, 4-hour drive with music going or a podcast going, just keeping your mind going while you're riding so you don't get tired. Because I get tired driving,
Oh, sure.
let alone riding a motorcycle. That's even more dangerous.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to this one here.
That surprises me
Which one?
that you're going back to that one.
Well, I like this one more than I like the Holland Dots or whatever, Hazel Dots. I don't know what the hell it's called. I like this one a little bit more. That one had a little bitter after flavor to it. It was almost like a little bite to it, but that's okay. That's why we try these out on the cast so people don't have to.
Yeah.
But this one tastes like candy, like a little Skittles. So yeah, so the next thing now, you're into boats big time.
Yeah, I love boats.
We've had many boats.
Yeah, I love boats.
But you still have the original.
Well, yeah,
I love that you still have that.
You know, when you have something good, you don't like to get rid of it.
No, that's
we
such
all
a good
know how,
boat.
you know, you transition through your boats quite a bit.
Quite a bit.
Quite a bit,
Yes. However, I've had my Sea-Doo for 3 years now, so that's crazy.
It's got to be a record.
It's got to. It's a record, all right.
Yeah.
So yeah, the boat that I sold you, that thing is still going strong with minimal maintenance.
Yeah, the
Which
only
is so cool.
Yeah, the only thing I've had to do to it since I purchased it from you
Spark plugs.
is we did spark plugs.
Yep.
Matt and I did the spark plugs, and then I've replaced the battery once.
Damn.
And then just this last season there was a heat sensor.
Yep.
And then the impeller wasn't bad, but
Made a difference.
Since they were already in there, they asked if I wanted to take care of it, and I told them just go ahead and take care of it since it's been such a maintenance-free boat.
Yeah.
And like you said, when you and I took that out, and of course you had the boat, I bought it from you.
Yeah.
And so when we tried that out, I mean,
That made a world of a difference.
cornering is just night and day difference. So
I mean, just
I'm super excited to run that next season
I
because
know.
I just got it back, and then the marina started getting kind of full of weeds, so I didn't really want to dump it in there, and the other landings were pulled up. I think East End had some issues going on with just kind of the river, so that was the only time that I was able to take it out after I got it fixed was that time that you and I ran it when I had the new impeller. So
It's so weird that even just the smallest little nicks in an impeller will make a big difference because you look at it, and I don't know if you even saw yours, but the one that I had to pull out one time, I was like, man, that doesn't even look that bad, but it does.
They put everything back in the box for you and set it in the boat.
Did it look that bad?
No, I actually thought that, okay, I got duped here. This isn't going to make much of a difference. So that's why that day I was like, we got to take this out. I got to see how much of a difference it is.
Man, his road's so much smoother.
Yeah.
That's one thing I noticed. The smoothness was way better. Plus, it also picked up on plane a lot faster.
And turning.
And turning was real sharp.
Yeah.
So it does make
It didn't lose much speed at all when you were turning.
No, that was awesome. And sorry, because he was going.
Yeah, it used to just.
Yeah.
I mean, it was fine, but it's definitely a lot better now.
I know. It's so weird that would make that big of a difference because I'm thinking about doing that with my Sea-Doo. I didn't even winterize mine this year. I'm taking a chance.
But you keep yours in the heated garage.
It is in a heated garage, but I just got a new heater in there, so it shouldn't go out. I keep it at 45 degrees minimum, so it should never have a problem. And right now we're having a pretty mild winter, so I don't suspect it'll be an issue. I just plugged in. I just put on my trickle charge, so it should all be good. But man, you're right. Those weeds are still hanging off my trailer from when I pulled it. It looks like I have hair hanging off of it. It looks like dreadlocks or something.
Well, go ahead and clean the trailer off.
I tried. All I can do is just like pull off the weeds that are on there, and there's still gonna be more sitting on the bed. But that's okay. But yeah, so okay, now you're you got that boat still, but now you have not houseboats. I'm sorry, a yacht.
Yeah, motor yacht.
Motor yacht.
Yeah, we had a 1987
MY.
Dayliner motor yacht.
Yeah.
It's a 3270 model.
So when it comes to those, what do you like about both, and then what do you dislike about both?
About the
because those are-
1504 and then
Yeah.
the 3270.
So yeah, because I mean they're totally different. You have like literally a Mazda Miata sports car on the water, and then you have a lot bigger boat on the water. So what's the best about both of them, and what's the worst about both?
Well, we'll start with individually, and then I'll do the
Yeah,
combination.
okay.
So
Which one are we talking about first?
we'll talk about the Sea-Doo first.
Sea-Doo 1504.
The Sea-Doo for me, I think the positive of that is it's virtually been maintenance free for
Yep.
us since
Okay.
we've owned the boat. As stated before, easy to trailer. It's just like taking a jet ski in and out of the water. So there's there's not really a lot of horsing around. If back when I lived in town, if I was sitting on my couch and decided, hey, I want to be on the river, I was typically in the water going down the river in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
From the time I made my decision.
You live right by the marina.
And I lived. That was
that was awesome.
But when you pull up to the slip or the ramp, I should say, from the time you have your vehicle, getting your vehicle to back it in, I mean, you're talking under 5 minutes.
Yeah.
To get that in the water, tie it up, go park your truck, hop in the boat, start it up, and go. So that's a big plus for me. It once again maintenance free, fuel efficient. I like having that aspect of it. The bad with that one is it's a 4-seater. So
and that's only if they come underweight.
Yeah, and it's got a 750-pound max weight limit. So if you got 2 couples, I've done that quite a bit with just 2 couples and then a small cooler. You're typically fine.
Yep.
You get into some choppier water, then you got to be careful because the waves will come in because it sits pretty low to the water.
Yeah.
So that would probably be the biggest downfall is the size, just because
Sure.
if you got kids or this, that, or the other thing, you want to have a little bit more space, which is why before we kind of got into the yacht style boating, we were going to upgrade to like a Challenger, like an 18-foot, 20-foot.
Yeah, you talked about that.
8-person, 10-person boat. Even though we don't take big groups out a lot of the time, but just having that more space and then of course the weight limit too.
Yeah.
Like you got coolers, or you bring food or whatever you're bringing out
Yep.
there. So I would say with the 1504, the Sea-Doo Sportster, that's probably the kind of the breakdown. Moving on, like the 3270, the Bayliner. That there's a lot of good. It's very, very spacious. The layout on it's great. It sleeps if you wanted to, you could sleep 6 probably.
Sure.
Because 6 adults comfortably. There's a king down in the master stateroom, which is down below. That's got a full king bed.
Is that the one? Is that the one that's the one that you guys stay on?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yep,
it's
yep.
just below.
So right when you walk into the
Yeah.
salon, you just walk right down. There's a short little ladder.
Okay.
And it's got a vanity. It's got a closet. It's got a sink.
Have you hosted anyone on there? to
We
stay
have.
the night?
We
You
actually
have.
hosted our friends Ryan and Melissa for Labor Day weekend.
Did you guys stay there with them, or did they just stay there by themselves?
No, we all stayed on there.
Okay.
So we were able to sleep down in our the master stateroom. They stayed in the guest room, which is in the forward berth. It converts to a queen, but it's got that V style for that forward berth. And then food, we brought all of our food for the entire weekend down, and they stayed both Saturday night, Sunday night. So we were there for the full weekend, and it was actually extremely hot. I don't know if you remember, but it was extremely hot that weekend here in town. And
Which weekend was that?
for Labor Day.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was.
So there actually wasn't a lot of time spent outside because it was so hot.
Sure, you sat inside with
So
the
we
AC.
actually sat inside in the air conditioning in that boat for pretty much the whole weekend. Had food.
Yeah.
We had guests over. Besides Ryan and Melissa, we had. I think you were over there for part of it.
Yep. I always stop in.
Yeah, it's pretty spacious, and you got for the nice days that you got the cockpit area we have a nice table set up out there, and that's got a sink there too to be able to utilize. So it's got a lot of space for entertaining and a lot of space for living. It's got the bathroom. It's got the whole kitchen, and I have a TV on there so I can watch golf and kind of do whatever. So those are a lot of the positive things with that boat. Negatives, it's a bigger boat. With bigger boat, obviously fuel takes a lot of fuel if you're using it a lot.
What's it got for a gallon tank in there?
It's got 2 100-gallon tanks for each motor.
So 200?
One for each motor, yeah. So it holds 200 gallons of gas.
Okay.
And it
Yeah, I
takes
think that one that I had
gasoline.
was 75 each at 2, so it was like 150. That 30-footer that I had.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's got 2 100 tanks, one for each motor. It's got the 305s in there. So, it's just more boat.
Yep.
It's a learning curve, obviously, with the small jet boat. You kind of zip
Two
around.
different types of style of boat. Jet.
But it's very different style boating. So those would be the negatives. Obviously, you have to store it at the marina. That's one of the things where you're not taking it home with you. You got to pull permits. You got to do all sorts of stuff. So
yeah, you're kind of at their.
It's not really that much of a negative. It's just the only negative is the cost that's associated with that.
Yeah, because
they're not having the option if you want to take it home.
And they have you buy whatever they want to charge you too, because you
Yeah,
don't have much
I mean,
of an option.
Yeah, I mean you could want to move up to Hastings and they could charge you.
Oh gosh.
Whatever, or you want to take it wherever you're
Yep.
going to go, and you're at the mercy of whatever the going rate is versus having your own garage where you can just take it off to, like we do with the jet boat. So now, the hybrid, so having both of them, I don't know if hybrid's the right word, but
I'm going to get into that next.
having both of them is kind of a perfect thing for us because now that we do have a smaller jet boat, not needing that bigger boat, because if we're hosting 4, 5, 6, 8 people, we
Yep.
can just go out on a cruise on the Bayliner and enjoy a nice evening out there, enjoy a nice day out there. But if we want to just zip to an island quick and not have to think about it, we can just hop on that jet boat, zip out to an island, and even if there's 8 people that are with us, I can just come back and pick them up at the dock.
Yep.
And just zip back and forth, and
Yeah, I think it's pretty nice.
Takes 5 minutes to get to Mosquito Island from the Winona Marina. So
Now I want to go into this hybrid situation that you're about to talk about, because you and me have discussed this last year. Sea-Doo, Yamaha, if you're listening, make a cabin cruiser jet-propelled boat. You have two buyers right here.
Absolutely, I think that would be fantastic if you could get a jet-propelled boat that also had the cabin style.
I would love that.
I think that would really attract a lot of people out there, because there's just a lot of complexities to these, whether it's a stern drive or whether you got straight shafts, whatever kind of motors you got, and propulsion system that you have on your boats. Obviously, you and I grew up in the jet world with your dad having his Sea-Doo jet ski, so that's what we were used to, and that's not.
And that's what I'm comfortable with.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened when I had the 30-foot sport cruiser yacht. I just wasn't a fan of the prop system, the trims and all that kind of stuff. I like that when I go on the...
Because that was stern driven, right?
Yeah. Yep. And you had to trim it up and trim it down. And, if someone didn't keep up with it, like I found out, the trim level thing the gauge didn't tell me where it was. Well, someone that was brand new, never have driven a boat that had to trim up or down, I was just reading the gauge, assuming the gauge was already working. Well, didn't know that it wasn't, and blew out that whole situation. Far beyond the point, but, the way that my Yamaha 27-footer handles, like where I got the little paddle shifters on it where I can do each one, and now the new ones that they have out, they have side propulsions too. So if you had
thrusters, you got thrusters.
Yeah, you have side thrusters to go back and forth. So if you threw that into a little 30-foot cabin cruiser with that system on it, it'd be so easy to maneuver. Don't have to worry so much about your wing dams like you have to with your stern-driven props and all that kind of stuff, because Corey found out.
Well, yeah.
Corey found out the hard way about that. But I love...
There's a common theme here in our conversations about Corey, whether it's golfing or
He's always
boating.
Been there. He's always been there.
There's always a story involving Corey.
Yeah, so when he gets on the cast, he'll have some good ones.
Yeah, you'll have to write these... Hey, when I had Hurley on the podcast, this is what we talked about.
Remember
your
this?
sideways golfing and your sour cream tacos.
And your cart girls.
Cart girls. And you're breaking your clubs and going on about it. But no, I mean, I agree with that.
See, what I liked the idea of being able to go into my boat and hang out if I wanted to or sleep on it, but I didn't like the drive system. I just wasn't that comfortable with it. So if I had the style of the boat...
And it surprises me that they haven't came out with that yet a little bit.
I wonder why.
And like I said, you and I have talked about that before. Like when we first were... I think we were on the 1504 that day, and it was like, what would be the cat's meow would be as if somebody, either Yamaha or Sea-Doo, who's ever producing these boats now, there's other companies out there that produce these boats too. But
Monterey. How has Monterey not come out with one?
Can you not think of this? And then it doesn't even have to be a full, just an express cruiser.
Yeah.
Where you got, like our 2455 that we had, the Bayliner, before we got the 3270. Sure, if you're going to spend every weekend down there, it might get a little crowded. But even if you started there, where you had a nice, you had a nice wraparound couch for that, probably could have fit 4 or 5.
Sure.
A nice refrigerator, just a sink.
Yamaha's already got 27 footers.
Have a mid cabin just like that 2455 has. Because your 30-foot Maxim had a much bigger living quarters than the 2455 did. So I can understand. Okay, that might be a lot to get into. But if you had something like, hey, I can get out of the elements and just hang out, and if I need to crash, I can crash if I want to. I think there'd be a lot of buyers out there that probably...
Well, Yamaha already has the 27-foot jet boat like I have, so you're right in between what I had and what you had size-wise or length-wise.
Yeah.
So, who's actually makes a really nice style is Monterey. They make a really cool one where it's open on the front, because I like the front openings, but then on each side, there's a bathroom on one side, and then there's living quarters on the other side.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But, again, stern-driven, and it's got your props on it.
I think some Bajas are set up like that. No, I don't think the Bajas have the.
Bajas are like
I
all
don't-
front.
I don't think they have the open bows. Yeah, Bajas are just have the.
Chris Craft has them. A lot of them have them, but they're all
Then
like.
you go to of course the higher end yachts. will
Yes,
have those,
yes, they
those center
definitely do.
compartments too.
See, when I went to the boat show a few years ago, one of the guys said that Monterey has your best bang for your buck. So you'll get the most boat. It's not going to be a cheesy boat, but it's not going to be a Chris Craft of boats. It's
But
going
they're
to be
not
right in
jet.
between.
They're not jet driven.
Nope, they're
are they?
not.
Yeah.
But their styling was perfect. It's like, this would be awesome if it was jet propelled.
Yeah, it is interesting that there hasn't been a company out there that has done it. Maybe
I'm
it's just the
surprised.
market's not out there. For
Maybe it's
them, or
not.
Two different sporting
Because if anybody's
styles
gonna,
of boating.
if
I don't
anybody
know.
would do that, it'd be Yamaha, I would think, or Monterey.
You'd think they could try, because I mean, I don't know what their Yamaha's top end boat is now and the cost of it, but
I mean, look at Sea-Doo did a jet propelled pontoon. Who would have thunk?
yeah.
I mean, that's something
And
I
I think
never
they're
thought
selling
of.
like hotcakes.
We see a lot of them now.
I mean, I think personally, I don't think they're the prettiest looking boats out there, but I think people like the fact that it has the style of a pontoon
And it drives like a jet ski.
and it drives like a jet ski.
Yeah, and it literally has the jet ski stuff on it.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, when I come into the marina, I have so much control over my jet ski. It's so easy. When I roll into the marina, I
Unless
can
there's
get into,
weeds.
unless there's weeds, then it just gets all clogged up in there.
And it just clogs up. and
Yeah,
down.
but man, I don't know. I mean,
So, yeah, yeah, like you said, it is pretty crazy. You'd think that they
we
would.
need to go to the boat show again this year.
When is it? I haven't been.
End of January, I
I haven't
believe.
been to the boat. Well, are you talking about the one down in
Up in
La
the
Crosse?
cities? No,
I haven't
up in
been
the
to-
cities.
I've
That's
never
fun.
been to that one.
That's funny. You go sit on all the boats, and they look so pretty under the lights.
But see, you'll end up buying one, and then you
Yeah,
know
that's what happened. That's what they did. They got us.
they
But
sucked
yeah,
you right in.
sucked me right in.
Well, see, maybe you can wheel and deal now though. You can tell them, hey, you guys come up with a cabin one, I'll be your first buyer.
They're the ones that make the Yamahas,
Oh,
Japanese.
I gotcha.
Because Yamaha, I believe, is a Japan company. But they, those things. The thing is, I feel like all the boats after COVID kind of got quality control wasn't as good. Because I had that 24-footer, and yeah, I had battery issues because nobody understood the situation of, oh yeah, you can have the batteries on and the sound system does this. Remember we ran out of juice that one day?
Oh, that was with your first Yamaha.
Yeah, but that one I feel like had less problems than the one I've had so far. Because one I have now, like I told
Well,
them,
yeah, you got the gel coats
cracking.
cracking and peeling off.
Yeah,
Your boat cover is leaking and causing your boat to turn purple.
yeah. Also, the gas wasn't taking gas at the end of the
Yes.
year.
It was trying to operate electrically, not by not taking fuel.
Well, we should have just brought paddles along.
Should have brought paddles along. The warranty's probably expired by now.
Oh yeah, the warranty was done after 1 year.
Yeah,
Who has a boat with a 1-year warranty?
somebody that doesn't make a great boat.
Yamaha's been around a while. Sea-Doo, get back to making boats again. I miss yours. Sea-Doo is awesome.
Yeah, there you
I
go.
love Sea-Doo.
Yeah.
They did such a good job because my Challengers were awesome boats. I thought. I mean, they're pretty cool.
I think Sea-Doo does. Yeah, I think they were fantastic.
I've always been a Sea-Doo
But
fan.
who bought out Sea-Doo, or who?
Well, they were part of
who-
BPR.
Who started making the new the Sea-Doo boat style? I can't remember the company's name.
You mean the pontoon?
Nope. So like my boat, the 1504. There's a company that.
Scarab.
Yeah, Scarab.
Yeah, those things are expensive now, though.
Yeah, but I don't know if they bought the rights to that style or what they did, how they got it, or if they just started making their own version. But I
Yes.
thought they had bought out maybe a portion of Sea-Doo or.
See, now the one thing when you buy a Yamaha, the one thing that's nice about it is that when you go in for work, everything on there is supposedly made by Yamaha. So if you go into the Yamaha dealership, they can fix everything. But if you went to like Scarab or a different boat company, everything is made by someone different. So like the stereo system will be made by somebody else. The intake could be made by somebody else. Everything was made by different and all put together. Whereas Yamaha, the nice thing is everything's made by Yamaha.
Yeah, I think Corey ran into that with his boat. Where
Yeah.
his motor's Yamaha, his Simrad is this.
Yep.
His plywood with his leather couches are that. And,
It's plywood with his leather couches.
Yeah.
It's made by Ashley Furniture.
yeah, that was made by Ashley Furniture out of Arcadia, Wisconsin. It's imported into Sylvan.
Man, you got anything else you want to talk about? Man, we've done all the,
Yeah, I think we've covered a lot of topics.
we're on about an hour and 45 right now.
Yeah, that's good.
We didn't have to try.
Yeah.
I love this.
No, I
man.
don't think there's anything that. for our first one, I mean,
Yeah. Which one was your favorite? Now that we've tested all of them, which one did you enjoy the most? Was it the one that you
by far the berry one.
so the one that you picked out, you knew
Yep.
you'd like that one.
Yep, by far the
This
berry
was
one.
probably my least favorite. It tasted more
that
like
was
a wine.
that was my least favorite too.
This is my favorite right here. I drank the whole thing. I have to try.
For me, I guess 1 and 3 tasted very similar.
Yeah, this Pseudo Sue, that one's way drier. I can tell how dry it is.
Oh, sure.
This one's not. This one tastes a little, which is weird to say, but yes, dry. It tasted really dry. This one did not taste like that at all. This one had a little bite to it, like a wine with a bite. That tasted like candy.
Yeah, I'm not a big cinnamon. So I thought you can definitely taste the notes of the cranberry in there.
Yeah.
So, but it definitely wasn't my favorite. But I'm sure for all the holiday lovers, it kind of had a cider, like an actual apple cider.
Yes. Yep. With a little bite to it at the end.
Yeah.
So, you got anything fun coming up or anything that you want to discuss? Anything fun for the holidays? I mean,
No,
this isn't going to come out until January, but we're right around Christmas time.
No,
right
holiday
now.
should be good. We're just spending it at home.
Yeah,
We're
easy.
gonna
That's
see-
easy.
Yeah, we're gonna see my parents. We're gonna see her mom Christmas Eve. We spent with her dad's side of the family. We did that a couple weekends ago. We had hosted 31 people at the house. That went well. Yeah, that went well. Everything went smoothly.
Dang.
Yeah, so that was good. So
Yeah, and we're getting together for New Year's Eve, right?
yeah, so then we have New Year's Eve at the Goldens, and so that should be good. Looking
little
forward
blasting.
to that. Yeah, looking forward to. We got the Vikings Packers. Same.
Yeah,
night.
that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, so you got Vikings Packers. I think that kicks off at 7:30,
It's
and
going to be interesting because,
then you got about an hour and a half, then the ball drops. So
yeah, they're going to be. See, here's the thing with the Vikings now. They could either win out, and right now they're a wild card.
I don't think they're going to go 3-0.
That's going to be tough because
think-
Detroit's really good now.
Yeah, well, they're not doing as good as they started out.
No, I know that. But the Packers keep getting better too, unfortunately.
So we'll see how they can do. I think a lot of it. Yeah, I think it's a crapshoot the rest of the year. I don't think they're going to beat Detroit twice. I think they could probably do it once, but I don't think they'll be able to sweep them.
They have to beat the Packers because the Packers are also in the hunt for the wild card. So they
But I think
have
they're
to
2
beat-
games behind us.
I think they are now too.
2.5.
Someone else just came into the wild card. It's now someone in front of us, like the Seahawks or something. I think they're like 10-3, so we're not going to catch them. We're 7-7, I believe, and then there's another team that's 7-7, and I can't remember who it was. It wasn't the Packers; it was somebody else.
Yeah,
like
Packers should be like 5-7.
maybe
I think.
Dallas. Maybe it could.
I think
be.
Packers are 5-7.
Yeah. So I
So
mean,
what is that? 1.5, 2.5.
yeah. So the Vikings are really in
2.5.
charge of their own destiny right now.
I think they could even lose out, and I think they'd still make it, but I
Really?
can't say for certain.
Well, I hope so because, I mean, yeah.
Because I think right now we're sitting at number 6.
I think so. Yep.
I think there's 8.
I think
8
it's-
that get in.
No, I think we're 7th now.
We're 7th.
Someone
now?
ahead of us.
Oh, if somebody came in at 10-3, then yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was. Gosh, I just saw it yesterday on the TV screen before the Thursday night football game kicked off. I can't remember, but we were in there right in the middle. I think we're 7. So, I mean, with all the injuries that we've had and trying to just throw a quarterback in every week and see what happens, it's been rough for them.
Yeah.
But I just like to see at least another week of football.
Yeah.
I mean, I like to watch football. Yeah, it's fun to watch, but if our team's not in, it's not as fun to watch. So it just gives you another week to watch something. And in these times, I don't think you're a winter fan. I'm not a winter fan.
No, that's why I
mean,
travel to Florida. I try to do is
Right.
about every 6 weeks if I
I
can.
mean, we do go skiing and snowboarding just to pass time.
Yeah.
But we would rather be on the river,
Yeah.
soaking up
for
some
sure.
sun but it just gives us something else to do in January, watch another game. But yeah, I got the Super Bowl party. It'd be cool if the Vikings were actually in the Super Bowl once on a
Yeah.
Super Bowl party. But I highly, if they did, it'd be like one of the biggest underdog stories I think of any Super Bowl ever.
Yeah.
Because you have Josh Dobbs comes in, has 2 great games, sucks the next 2, gets taken out.
It's just tough, yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. And then the Vikings shoot themselves in the foot last week against the Bengals.
Yeah.
Man, that was ridiculous.
That was a tough one to watch.
was-
We had a rainy day in Florida that day, so
Yeah,
I was
you were
watching-
commenting. I'm like,
Yeah, I
what
was
the hell
wa-
are you doing?
Yeah, I was watching in the gym on my YouTube TV. I have the app
Yeah.
on my phone, so went to the gym, did a workout,
Oh, you getting your steps in?
get my steps in for the
Get
step challenge that we're
step
doing.
challenge. What
Yeah.
do we win? Do we win anything?
No, I don't, there's nothing to win. Just good health.
Say.
Yeah, just good health.
Yeah, I took that challenge with. I'm like, well, I get quite a few steps in on a day. I didn't realize certain days I get a lot more than the other days.
I didn't realize how many steps I actually got in it because I wear my Apple Watch during the day, but like when I'm working out and stuff like that, I don't
Yep.
I don't live with this watch on. So in the mornings when I'm getting ready, I don't wear it and all that kind of stuff. Well, I do now because I obviously want to keep track of my steps.
Right.
Because when I set my goal for my steps, I only set it at 4,500 because I didn't know how. I
did
work in the office.
12,000.
I work in the office. I do whatever, and
Yeah.
I'm in I'm in a vehicle all day for outside of the office. So
you can be walking around the town.
So I don't think I'm walking around all the time. So I'm like, oh gosh, I don't know. 4,500 is probably a safe one.
Yeah.
Um,
Very safe.
But I realize that on average, I'm getting about 7,000 steps a day.
Okay, that's
Not
good.
even trying.
See, now there's days when I have to walk the students down to a gym, and then I walk 2 miles a day, so I get 15,000 steps in those days. But then, like on Sunday when I don't work out or anything, 3,000 maybe. So I'm like, I got this wide range of. So I put 12 as my goal every day.
Yeah. So I do my 2 miles a day at bare minimum all the time.
When you wake up,
But it depends.
Okay.
Some mornings I'll do it in the morning. Sometimes it's after work.
Sure.
When I come home, I've been doing that for like pretty consistently for a year now, and then I'll vary it up. Like some days I'll get up and I'll run a mile, and then do 2 miles of I do a speed walk. So I'll speed walk at night and
Like an old lady.
yeah, kind of like that. Just trying to get my steps. And what I found is actually when I first started doing this, I would run because I was training for my half marathon.
Right. Yep.
When I first started doing it, and then I just kind of wanted to get back in shape, and I was, of course, obviously just like everybody does, they kind of look at the scale a little bit here and there, and you're like, oh, I'm trying to drop a couple pounds, and I was running. I couldn't. Nothing was doing it. Well, then I just started speed walking because I was reading some articles, and they say sometimes it actually is better for shedding some weight.
Huh.
And so anyway, I started doing that. So anyway, it varies. It really does vary for me. Some days I'll run and walk. Some days, weekends I'll try to do a 5K every weekend for sure. Try to run one.
Well, what's our challenge? 1 million steps in like 20 days?
I think it started off at 500,000.
Oh, God, we crushed
It's
that
a 21.
within 10.
Yeah, it's a 21-day challenge.
Yeah.
That Allison set up, and I think her goal initially was, I wonder if we can get 500,000 steps.
Yep. And now we're almost at 1 million actually. I think we're at 700,000 this morning.
Yeah.
So we're gonna crush that.
There. And that's a pretty cool app. It's people that you don't even know. It's just you go on the app and you can sign up for any challenge. She's actually doing a veggie challenge. I don't know when she's launching that one.
Veggie challenge?
Yeah, it's to get a certain amount of vegetables in per day.
Sure.
She asked me if I was going to be part of that one. I declined.
I said no. McDonald's challenge, we got you on that one.
Well, once a week.
It's Friday.
That's our.
Are you doing your date night?
No, we're not doing a date. We had our date nights last weekend in Florida. So
so no McDonald's.
we're still
this
doing a
week?
date night tonight, but it's just not to McDonald's.
Oh.
And then
so
tomorrow
better?
we had to run to lacrosse, do a few things. So we're going to do the Hardy platter up in Nodine. So
The Hardy platter? What's that?
yeah, it's connected to the Quick Trip. It's the Quick Trip restaurant. I don't know if you've ever had it. It's
The
fantastic.
Cake Cafe, baby.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's not Cake Cafe, but it's the Hardy platter. So
Okay.
Caledonia, Minnesota has one, and then Nodine.
Never heard of that.
Oh, it's fantastic. Take Stephanie there sometime. You
Take
guys.
Stephanie there. We went to the Freight House for the first time. We weren't going there on
Haven't been there.
purpose.
I've never been to
Oh, I
Freight
thought you
House.
had been.
No,
We
I
were
don't
going to
think
go. Well, so we went to the Vanilla Ice concert or the 90s concert, which was pretty fun for $12 tickets. I mean, we had a fantastic time, but we were going to go over to the distillery because it's only like 2 blocks away from the lacrosse center. And there was like a 45-minute wait. And we're like, well, we only got about an hour before it starts, so we're not doing that. So we went to the Freight House. Pretty darn good.
Yeah, I've
That
heard.
was-
I don't think I've eaten there, but I've heard nothing but.
We were going to go to
great
Charmont
things.
next, but we figured that because it was all within the block radius. So we were going to go there next, but, it's a Saturday night, so kind of figured we were gonna-
Charmont's always going to be booked out.
I've never been there.
Oh, excellent.
Excellent.
Yeah.
It's excellent.
I think they do kind of I don't want to say scratch kitchen, but I think they vary it up. Their menu, their dinner menu.
Oh, do
but
they?
you can also, they have like a bar menu.
It's like
You can order
Nosh, where
from.
they switch up their menu all the time.
I don't think it's quite that bad, or quite that frequently, I should say, not bad. But yeah, I think it does vary a little bit on what entrees they have. But then they have kind of like their burger menu.
Sure. We didn't spend as much as I was expecting. We only had like 2 drinks apiece and then our meal. And I think it was only like $60 some odd. So I was really expecting like $100.
Yeah, it's pretty cheap for
That wasn't
2 drinks
bad.
plus your entrees.
Yeah. We were going to go to the Lacrosse Distillery because they make a fantastic mule, and Stephanie loves mules. So we were going to go there, but they were booked out, so we didn't plan ahead. But that's okay. So anything else you want to add to the podcast? I mean, it's been fun. It's been almost 2 hours now.
Appreciate you
Stephanie
having me.
said that we would do this.
Oh yeah, you get started rolling and things.
Yeah,
just-
it's so easy to talk.
Yeah.
And we just skimmed the surface.
Oh yeah.
There's
Yeah,
a
no, I
lot
think we're
more
gonna have to have a
stories.
part 2 at one of these
Part 2.
times.
I love having my friends back on because it's so easy to talk to friends.
Yeah.
Once I start getting into some other guests, it's going to be a little more difficult for me on my end being brand new to this because I might not know them, which might be easier too because of the fact that I don't know them.
Yeah.
However, like when you and me are talking, I'm like, well, I pretty much know everything about you, so it's just really making conversation.
Yeah, come up with stories. You know, maybe you try to bring people on to have different themes.
Yeah. Well, you know,
And then it's just about prompting good questions.
there are people in Winona that are doing podcasts. Our old mayor, Jerry Miller's doing it.
Oh,
Yeah, he has one on Spotify.
really?
It's like, I think it's called Talk with Jerry. And his son, Jeremy, is the senator. He's doing one too. I just talked to him at the gym the other day. So I might have to get him on. That'd be a good one too. I mean, he's probably got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
Get Pops on this though. He can talk about the whole garage
Yeah.
and taxes.
Yeah, there you go.
How exciting.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, I guess we'll wrap it up then, huh?
Awesome. Yeah, I'm good
All right.
with it.
Well, it's been another episode, an edition of Brews and Crews. I am here with my co-best man, one of my best friends, Brett Hurley, and this has been another edition of Brews and Crews, and we were drinking a little Toppling Goliath. So tune in next week to see what I'm drinking and what I'm talking about. Have a good week.